Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Monastery. It is July 15th, 2018. It's fucking hot as hell. And as always, I am your immaculate gaming monk, and with me is good brother Doku and good brother Aaron. How we doing, everybody?
How's it going? Forced vacation. I love it.
That's always fun.
Yeah, turns out over my job, they're putting in a new oven, so they've closed down the store they've closed down the place for the next 4 to 5 days. So I ain't going back until Friday.
Hey, it's better than what happened to me at the last job I was working. I was managing Department of State shipments domestically. So when the government shut down, it was like, hey, don't need you for the next, whenever Congress decides to make up their fucking mind.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, that's always fun knowing that your livelihood relies on.
And nothing works.
Oh, trust me, it's fucking wonderful knowing that your paycheck and your livelihood relies on a bunch of fucking people on Capitol Hill not being able to fucking decide over how much to fucking spend on the budget. It's like, you guys have already printed trillions of dollars anyways, just raise it. Who the fuck cares at this point? It doesn't even matter anymore.
Yeah, but now at this point, they're probably going to shut, in the future, I expect them to shut down the government out of spite because Trump said something nasty.
Oh, if they ever get the opportunity, they will.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's coming. You know that.
They're already salty enough to spend $40,000 on a fucking balloon.
It wasn't $40,000. It wasn't $40,000. It was $4,000. And I suppose we should get into that. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the annual tradition, the weekly tradition of shame, the Geek of the Week.
Let's go salt mining.
Oh boy, here we go.
Get up, ladies, and get the donkey out. Get me a pick. We're going mining.
Yes.
I love it.
We have officially become dwarves this week because the big problem is sometimes I have a problem finding a Geek of the Week. This time, the problem was an abundance of options.
Ooh, a lot of salt.
Hi ho, hi ho, hi ho, hi ho.
Yes.
Whenever we sing hi ho, I have to wonder: are we mining, or are we going to Los Angeles for the weekend?
Oh.
Thank you very much. I'll be here all week.
I mean, better LA than San Francisco. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, no shit. At least the women are slightly prettier, and it's less shittier.
Yeah,
literally.
But
you don't have to worry about stepping on contaminated needles and shit when you're trying to go on the subway. So that's a thing.
I'm saying literally because it's like it's in San Francisco. It's like it's become. Let's just say the streets of Calcutta are a bit cleaner.
Yeah. Hell, I'm pretty sure New Jersey is cleaner.
Yeah.
I wouldn't argue against that point.
Yeah, holding your nose the whole time.
Anyway, okay, the first and most obvious entry is going to be the lady who did that Forbes article.
Oh boy, time to get out the torches, kids.
Tiki torches at that. Just because if we're going salt mining, we might as well go for broke.
Well, might as well.
Do we have any honorable mentions, Mildred?
I think. I do want to focus on that. I do want to focus on that one for a bit because for those who don't know, I'm referring to the woman who made that hit piece on John Bain, aka Total Biscuit. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
And
pressing F right now.
And first off, trying to say that she was the Anita of the right. Never mind the fact that he was very liberal to the point where he had that shit fit during the election.
Yeah, even Jenna, his wife Jenna got some nuclear heat from him during that time.
Yeah. He caught a case of political derangement syndrome.
Yeah.
And yes, I am still campaigning to have political derangement syndrome be included in the DSM-6 when that comes out.
Please. I hope they do.
It really does need to be included as a mental disorder at this point in time.
Yep. But the other thing was that, and this was what really set me off personally, was the notion of he hadn't atoned for his sins of being involved with Gamergate, which is and these motherfuckers wonder why I keep calling them a cult.
Exactly. It's like what he did. He didn't pay his fucking indulgence, huh? He didn't pay his fucking carbon credits before he died.
I think they were asking for it seems to me that what they wanted was for them to
self-flagellation.
Yeah, so a bit of self-flagellation and a bit of you must confess your sins.
Oh my god. They should have made him sit on the comfy chair.
Here, just take a seat.
Yeah.
At this point, the cult of social justice makes Scientology look like a valid religion.
No shit.
Speaking of which, I remember hearing about a comic book pro who decided to disown his aunt over politics. And I had to retweet the whole thing and said, anyone else getting David Miscavige vibes here, or is it just me?
I don't know who that guy is, but he sounds like a jagoff.
David Miscavige is the guy who is the guy who wrote he's basically the de facto head in the Scientology organization, and when he took over, he was very much pushing for having people constantly disconnect from anybody who was even remotely an SP. What they refer to as a suppressive person. If you need details on an SP, Tori Magoo did a video on that some time ago. And I look back at the stuff that she talked about with her experiences, because she was in Sea Org a long time ago. And I look at the way social justice activates, and it's very, very similar. And honestly, it disturbs me.
Well, they're pretty much a textbook definition of a cult at this point.
Yep. Now, I suppose to use a few other examples of honorable mentions. Well, let's go with one of the bigger ones. Scarlett Johansson getting bullied out of the leading role that she was supposed to be in with Rub and Tug.
I knew.
Oh my god, Scarlett! I would be pointing and laughing at Scarlett for her usual virtue signaling, her usual Hollywoodness garbage. But you know what? She did nothing wrong here. She absolutely did nothing wrong. She just got pitchforked and torch and pitchforked by the fucking mob again.
Now here's the thing. Now, if I recall correctly, and I distinctly remember Ralph's talking about this on the Stream of Corruption, I think about 2 weeks ago. The character who this film was supposed to be based on was not trans. She was just a straight up lesbian.
Yeah, she was a woman that dressed like a man. She wasn't actually trans. She was just bisexual with a very specific taste in clothing.
Yeah. And because that was the argument that a lot of people were making was that this was somehow trampling on trans rights or some shit like that. Even though that's not the case, and I doubt that would ever really be the case. I think some people just saw the title and then did the autistic screech.
Yeah, that's likely the case.
But I can't help but notice the irony that the people who want diversity and representation and want Hollywood to respect the woman,
Yeah.
bullied out a woman.
Whoops.
Actually,
Yeah,
some black guy released a video earlier today that I found very interesting. I forget the name of the site. I think it's called Now This.
Yeah.
I know he's commented on them before.
I hate that.
Yeah, I know all too well about not about Now This.
Yeah. Fucking Fox clone.
Yeah, I avoid them like the plague, but they did release a video on it, and he made a very valid point, and I find this to be very interesting because the hypocrisy is strong with these. So you can't have anyone besides a trans individual, regardless of their status within Hollywood, representing that particular role, despite the fact that you're literally acting out a role. It's kind of in the word actor.
Yeah, really.
And as Vito Gesualdi pointed out, saying, "quote This is like boycotting milk because Sean Penn isn't gay."
Yeah. But so
good point.
So basically, respect women unless they come in contact with another intersectional cult.
Okay, now
Basically.
speaking of salt, quick question: who here has been keeping up with the World Cup?
On and off, but I was laughing at England when they lost.
England losing again. What a shock!
Yeah, I was laughing the first time because I think they were saying, "Hey, football's coming home, mate! Football's coming home, God, yay!"
Gonna be waiting another 4 years for that one.
And Croatia basically said, "Oi, you didn't bring your football license, friend."
Yeah, and with the game now over and France winning out.
Oh my god! It's turned into a fucking war zone in France because of that.
If it were up to me, the way you'd entertainingly end this is have the losing team get hit over the head with a baguette,
or in this case, or considering how France is how Paris is right now, a falafel.
Well, no, if you really wanted to be insulting, all you have to do is have Theresa May hand them a fucking participation trophy. Or Angela Merkel, one of the two.
Yeah. No, it'd probably be a dog collar.
Even better.
But anyway, I wanted to. There was one thing that FIFA wanted broadcasters to do that was absolutely ridiculous. And this is coming from awfulannouncing.com by Andrew Buchholz. Apologies if I mispronounced this. Apparently it's part of a Associated Press thing, saying, quote, World Cup broadcasts have long been known for their crowd shots, and those shots are often of female fans. But FIFA apparently wants to change that, as per this part of the Associated Press's running World Cup coverage. Quote, FIFA wants fewer images of attractive women in World Cup stadiums shown on future broadcasts. FIFA diversity chief Federico Edici, I will not apologize if I mispronounce that, says soccer's world body will talk with national broadcasters and its own TV production team. The subject arose Wednesday in a review of FIFA's anti-discrimination program in Russia. Monitors identified sexist incidents, including fans harassing female broadcasters, as having been a bigger problem so far than acts of racism. Citation needed, motherfucker.
Show us your work, please.
Adichie says FIFA's stance is a normal evolution. And broadcasts in Russia have already improved from the 2014 World Cup in Brazil. He says FIFA has already interviewed with broadcasters, quote, on a case-by-case basis when some cases arose and they were pretty evident. There have unquestionably been disturbing incidences of sexual harassment of female reporters at this World Cup, so much that the UN stepped in to condemn those. But it's unclear there's a connection between that and showing female fans on TV. And it's interesting that FIFA is now suddenly noticing sexist incidents and trying to cut down on shots of attractive women in broadcasts, considering that former FIFA president Sepp Sepp Blatter's reign involved everything from suggesting women's soccer players should wear skimpier uniforms to calling a female executive committee candidate good and good-looking, to announcing the first female FIFA executive committee members with "You're always speaking at home, now you can speak here," to allegedly grabbing Hope Solo's butt at the end of the 2013 Balloon d'Or ceremony. Yeah. Yes, FIFA is under new leadership, and maybe it's good that they're recognizing some problems with sexism and sexist incidents, but reducing the numbers of TV images of female fans is an interesting place to start.
So basically, the fucking SJW commissars have infiltrated FIFA. How lovely.
FIFA has been a corrupt shithole for the longest time. So
it's even more corrupt than the NBA and the NFL combined.
So
I get a kick out of anybody bitching about cheating in FIFA. Come on, buddy. It's fucking FIFA. Yep. Everybody cheats.
Well, see, this is the question I have, and I'm sure the answer is both, but do they want the Slut Walk World Cup edition or the Women's March World Cup edition? I'm not sure where they're going with this one.
I don't know which dim-witted approach it is, but either way, wit will be dimmed. And my response to this whole thing that I posted up was to paraphrase from FIFA, sexism is a problem. We need to fix it by being sexist.
Yeah, this is why I'd rather watch hockey.
Caps. Go Caps.
Go Hawks.
No. See, I'm a Caps fan, man.
Well, at least you finally won a cup.
Yeah, I can't even argue there. It took us, 20 years?
Yeah, and keep getting bounced out of the playoffs. You ever seen urinating tree stuff, man? Oh, he loves ragging on the Caps.
Oh, I know he does, and I hate it because I can't. I hate him for the same reason I hate Crosby. I hate him because he's good, and I hate that guy because he's right.
Yeah, that's true. To be fair, he rags on his own teams too.
Yep,
I'll give him that. He's fair.
Now this is a bit of a one-off covering an old topic, but you guys probably heard that somebody managed to fix a problem with the AI in Aliens Colonial Marines because of a fucking typo.
Yes, I did hear about that, and it's fucking hilarious.
Blow it up because the damn sound wasn't just right.
Yeah, shut it down.
Oh my god, there's a freaking misstep in the freaking sound. Blow it up, we're starting again.
No, it was a typo in the engine INI file. One line of code that had a spelling mistake.
Oh my god.
Because when a Xeno is spawned, it's attached to a zone tether. The zone tells the Xeno what area its fighting space and where different exits are. In combat, a Xeno will be forced to switch to a new tether, such as one behind you so as to flank, or disperse so they aren't so grouped up. Whenever the game tried to do this, nothing happened because of the typo. Now it does.
Oh my god! So basically, it sounds like how my state tends to fix the roads, even though decided to close the roads, despite the fact it's not riddled full of potholes, and the ones that's riddled full of potholes, they don't touch for the next 30 years.
Yep. Another example. I suppose, given the protests that happened, I suppose I should give a final. Well, I have two final Geek of the Week honorable mentions. The first one that I have to give is to Sadiq Khan. I'm not going to do the Star Trek reference because he does not deserve that. The reason why is because he said. Now, first off, whether you are pro or anti-Trump, you can agree on one thing. Spending $5,000 on a blimp that is not a blimp, it's just a fucking parade balloon. You can get those for half that.
Yeah, you could probably get that something of that size at fucking Party City for much cheaper.
It looks like something you'd put in a pool it looks like some big ass thing you'd put in a swimming pool that you could get for $100 to $150.
Yeah, really.
But he said, quote, "We shouldn't curtail freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom to protest simply because it may offend somebody." Aren't you the
Yeah.
same motherfucker who tried to ban a ad for Protein World because people got
Yeah.
pissy?
Yeah, you
don't
try to
think
ban the Beachbody. Yeah, you ban the Beachbody ads. You lock up Tommy Robinson, and when it comes, and then the next day when the pro Trump people decide to show up and have a little demonstration of their own, they're like, "Oi, where's your protesting license?"
Yeah, it's like there is a list of people who can throw stones in that glass house.
Yeah.
Your name is not on it, Khan.
Well, and let's not forget the funniest part of that Trump baby balloon that they spent so much money on.
Oh,
It only flew for 2 hours.
Yeah, what probably happened is that they filled it up with they filled it up with air instead of helium.
yeah, you can't do. Yeah, and not only that, if they only spent like what $5K on the goddamn balloon, where they spent the rest of the money on sex toys, dilation stations.
The latter,
Probably.
probably. The former, I don't know. But I remember watching footage, and all I can think of was the quote from Voltaire: "I have only uttered one prayer to God, Lord, make my enemies ridiculous," and God granted it.
Yep.
I think Joe Pesci granted that one.
Kyoryu saying, "Hey Mildrift, if Hasbro did a Transformers crossover with Star Trek, would all the figures be Voyager class?" No.
No.
We do not speak of the Mary Sue captain.
Oh.
Yeah, I said it. Janeway is a Mary Sue. Fight me.
And I'm not going to disagree.
Yes, yeah, he was good, but you know what? Come on, Cisco blows her out of the water.
Well, let's be honest. If you had the two of them in the same room, the first thing that would happen was that Janeway would get punched.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't argue there either.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Last but not least, and this isn't him specifically, but I just feel that the people involved with this were a full on geek with this.
Yep.
Was the people who were giving Henry Cavill shit.
Oh, I haven't heard much about that one.
Neither have I.
Yeah, I've been here. I heard like some whispers of it, but I didn't delve into it.
Well, here's the gist. Henry Cavill had said that he doesn't try and do any sort of anything remotely flirtatious when it comes to women on set.
Oh yeah, now
he
I
feels that that's going to get misconstrued and somebody's going to turn him into the next Me Too victim.
I can't say I blame him.
And they immediately respond with using the old adage of that sounds something that a future offender would say.
Oh my God, we're going full Minority Report here.
Didn't he say something along the lines of, rather than try to flirt with someone, I would rather just call up an old girlfriend or something like that because I have less of a chance of being the next #MeToo victim?
Yes, that is what he said.
I can't really blame him here.
I can't blame him either. I mean, I'm kind of the same way, to be perfectly blunt.
Yeah, that's why I don't talk to most people my age because of this shit. Oh, and not only that, let me add on to this little thing here. Fucking Mark Kern, our good old friend Mark Kern, right?
The master of the naval empire.
Yes, and the only guy that made Warcraft decent.
Mm-hmm.
He made a tweet about that shit. He basically says, "Oh, hold on, let me see if I can find it." Hold on.
Yeah, but just while you're looking, I mean, can any rational thinking individual, I mean, I don't care if you're a man, woman, if you identify as a purple people either, just trying to have kind of relations with any individual that's even remotely intimate at this point, does anyone not kind of have that wondering, lingering suspicion in the back of your head? Like if you see the crazy eyes just a little bit, you're like, fuck, am I going to be the next target of a Twitter mob?
Yeah. Okay, I found the tweet. Mark Kern says, guys, first moves are over. Women, it's all you now. You have to call us, send us gifts, do all the asking out and paying for dinner. Make the first move and provide consent paperwork in triplicate for the goodnight kiss. We quit.
You know, when Dave Chappelle did the love contract gag that was supposed to be a gag.
Exactly.
Not a fucking instruction manual.
Reality. He predicted reality.
Oh my
goodness.
word.
And also, these are the same kind of people that will turn around and have the audacity to complain, well, chivalry is dead. It's like,
if it's dead, it's because
why
you fucks killed it.
yeah, exactly.
At this point, can we get a grant to clone half the decent porn stars in the industry?
Oh, and don't even get me started. These are the same individuals, hashtag me too, hashtag chivalry is dead, but also get triggered over fucking sex robots.
You know why? Because they know their competitions. They're about to get out competed. That's how capitalism works.
Oh, it's great because you can not only have a sex robot, you can have a sex robot that you can also program to make you a sandwich. What more can you
That's
ask
true.
for?
Only problem is you don't get no kids, which sucks.
I mean, there is that one drawback, but you could always, I guess you could hire a surrogate, but at the same time, that might end up as hashtag me too anyways, so.
Yeah, that's true. But Mildred, you forgot one more elephant in the room when it comes to Geek of the Week.
Who?
I think you know who I'm talking about.
Is it Mr. Potato Head?
Yes!
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Mr. fucking Potato Head had to dredge up Gamergate again. And not only that, Saint Anita's along for the ride, and full fucking Macintosh has come out of his spider hole.
Well, I hope
I'm surprised I haven't heard
likes
anything
not
from Zoe
I hope
Quinn.
he likes making. I do have to wonder: has he been taking PR? Has he been taking PR and advertising lessons from Dixie Carter?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know. He seems. I don't know if you remember this, but there was a run. But back in the earlier end of the decade, there was a running thing where because TNA was so bad, you had to imagine that the goal was to make no money. The goal is to do no buys. So whenever they do something that is not going to make them money or is completely stupid, you give them praise. And when they do something good, you boo them.
Okay, so how does that make any lick of sense?
Because Impact was so fucking bad every goddamn week that you needed to do something in order to keep yourself sane.
Here's
The reason I bring that up is because it's very it seems like he is hell-bent on making sure that he is the next Paul Feig.
Nah, he's more. Nah, I wouldn't say that. It's that Paul Feig's he's being too nice. I would say he's being I would say he's being a far more annoying version of Uwe Boll.
Yeah, I will. Which if he's gonna do a thing where he's gonna challenge his own critics to a boxing match, I will happily volunteer.
Oh, he challenges me to a boxing and says, "Sign me up. I'll knock your ass out within 30 seconds."
Yeah, sign me up for that one too. That would be a godsend.
You know what?
I'll sign it up, tape it. We'll sell some tickets, and then we'll send the result to CM Punk and say, "You are now the second most embarrassing knockout."
No, I would say, you know what? Screw the 30-second knockout. The first round, I'm just gonna give him false hope. You know, just play around with him, just like Ivan Drago did with Apollo Creed in Rocky IV.
Yeah, that'll work. But seriously, it's getting to the point where he's just scattershotting anybody and everybody under the sun to who as far as who he's going to blame next. I would not be surprised if if next he's going to say that the reason why it didn't do well is because it released during the winter season. Nobody's going to go out to the theater when it's cold out.
Oh my!
If he says
he's doing what all these individuals do. He's sticking to the playbook, to the letter, and just throwing shit at a wall until something sticks.
Yeah,
nothing's gonna stick at this point. But it's like let's just put it this way: the captain of the Titanic knew when to fucking give up.
Mm-hmm. But again, at least I can say this much: I will give credit where credit is due. He is sticking to the SJW playbook to a T. It just makes it that much easier to predict.
Yeah, and the best part is we all still laugh at him anyway.
I mean, shit. If I was a financial advisor right now, I would just wait to look to see who the next CEO, CFO, CIO is, and then look at their Twitter feed. If they're even remotely SJW, I'm buying an option and I'm shorting that stock.
Yes.
1 year. Guaranteed success.
Yeah,
that's why I know that they're trying to claim that it's business as usual, but given how much money Solo lost, I doubt that.
Yeah, this is not what I would say business as usual, simply for the fact that they're not really doing business. They're
and not only
being
that,
a sounding board, they're being ideological, but they don't seem to care about making money.
So as far as this whole thing of trying to have Rian Johnson run his own trilogy, I get the serious suspicion that that's not the case. simply because the last thing that they want is even more bad press.
Kathleen Kennedy's about to get her walking papers.
If you need an image of what's going on, imagine Disney as the Eye of Sauron.
Yeah, really.
And anybody who's good at Photoshop, please do that for me. I'm no good at it. I want the Eye of Sauron to have the Disney ears.
Yeah, and not only that, even Lucasfilm, they're at their point. They're basically declaring open warfare on their fandom at this point.
I think the idea that they're doing, and that a lot of ideologically inclined folk do, is what I like to call the green grass fallacy. Because their idea is that if we get rid of all these angry, evil fans who are constantly racist, sexist, Trump supporters, take your buzzword bingo and see if you can get four corners on that shit. They hope that if they get those away, there will be this magical group that shows right up and fills in all their blanks and doesn't complain at all.
This is the thing. Yeah, they think by doing they're doing like what the elites are doing with immigration, and this is basically what they're trying to do with immigration, trying to get a more compliant group in there. But the problem is, for entertainment, it doesn't work that way.
Nope, and every time it's tried, it ends up failing miserably. But I suppose they'll just say that wasn't real progression, just like they say that's not real communism.
Exactly. Yeah, like I said, you think if they get rid of every fucking shitlord on the planet, you really think there's gonna be a magical woke sub demographic coming in to save the industry and lead us to our social justice utopia? Come on.
Well, as I always say, and Mildred knows I love this saying, Candyland doesn't exist. The Lollipop King is dead. Welcome to reality. Grow the fuck up and have fun.
Yeah, exactly. And besides, and by the way, unicorns do not exist either.
Nope. Although I do wish they did, because Lord knows somebody needs a good unicorn horn up the ass every now and then.
Ain't that the truth?
In some case I think you'd be better off using a rhino.
Oh yeah, hurts more.
An elephant tusk might work.
Yeah, but
regardless,
more like it.
Regardless,
Regardless, I I firmly believe that the best way to learn through life is to watch other people fall into the pitfalls.
And don't do the same thing.
Yeah. So in that regard, I want to extend a heartfelt thanks to Roundhead for immediately justifying why I constantly talk about how thankful I am for those who are willing to put up with my shit.
Well, look at it this way. At least he'll be a subject of an economic book in the future.
Yeah, hey.
Yeah, you see what he
it's
did?
better to learn from other people's mistakes than make the same mistakes yourself.
Yeah, you see what this idiot did? Don't do that.
Yeah, this right here, that's how you know you fucked up. Don't do this.
Yeah, really.
Ugh, Ryan Johnson. Jesus.
Well, at least, like I said, I'm enjoying the salt from that idiot. And of course, Full Macintosh gets to come along for the ride. So that's nice. A treat for me. Hey,
it's a free laugh.
Yeah.
At least they're good for something, right?
Yeah. We get to point and laugh. I mean, shit, something's got to replace Maury.
I feel I could make a parody book of just, compiling tweets and, different segments from all these garbage tier media articles and just post it all in one book and sell it for like $5, and I'd probably have like $1 million in my pocket.
Yeah. Like I said. Oh boy.
That being said. Okay. Where is? I would like to offer a bit of my trademark predictions.
This will be good.
Ooh, yes.
Okay. Now let's get the obvious prediction out of the way. Trump will be reelected.
Yeah,
not because of anything he does, but because as Napoleon said, never interrupt your enemy when he is making a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, Trump has done a fair job, but like I said, at this point, I think the biggest reason he'll get reelected is because they don't want these nutbags in power.
Well, hashtag walk away is a thing for a reason.
Yeah, especially if Hillary runs again.
Oh God. Well, you did hear about who there was polling done. You did hear who the top 3 candidates that the people who are still sticking with the DNC actually want to see.
Oh my word.
Number 1 is Joe Biden, number 2 is Hillary Clinton, and number 3 is Bernie Sanders.
Oh, all 3 of them are big lol cows.
No,
Joe Biden,
Bernie, as Sticks said it, Bernie is old as dirt. He'll probably be dead by the time 2020 even rolls around. Not that I wish death on anyone, but let's be honest, the dude is old as shit.
Yeah, but
Hillary is probably going to go senile by that time. Joe Biden, also old as dirt, and doesn't really have much of a platform to run off of that's any different from Hillary or Bernie. None of them are going to beat Trump.
Yeah, that's the thing. His creepy Joe's going to have especially with all the Me Too shit, that train's going to fucking hit. That shit's going to wash up on his shore if he runs. Hillary, of course, she's a fucking lol cow at this point. Bernie, well, the guy's how I say about fucking
I don't think he decided to switch from being an independent to being a Democrat that one time, and given what happened then, I don't think he's going to even try a second time.
Yeah.
Bernie can't even run under the current policy because he's not part of the DNC anymore.
Yeah.
He can't run. So, and he said he wasn't going to anyways. Hillary, maybe the second time around, she would have had kind of a chance if she didn't make 2 critical errors. First off, going around blaming literally everyone but herself for running a shit campaign, and then doing a blatant cash grab with her frickin' book. Like, there's no way.
Yeah, they're just let's just think our lucky stars Ocasio-Cortez isn't of age to run for president. But then again, she's another little cow in herself.
Cortez has the crazy eyes.
She got them crazy eyes.
Ugh, crazy eyes is an understatement for that. Oh,
in fact, like I said, She's gonna inspire a fucking villain for me at this point.
Oh, the thing is, if the DNC found a young individual who was just a hardcore open socialist / communist, they would do better than any of the three that I just mentioned. That's how terrifying and how shit the DNC is right now.
Yeah, but that person won't beat Trump. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Oh,
now
no, of course not.
the other prediction that I'm going to make is that you know how when Image was formed, it was formed out of a bunch of prolific artists leaving Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
This is gonna go one of two ways.
I have a sneaking suspicion that a lot of the old guard, when it comes to comics and the big two, are going to go full on independent.
We've already started to see that. Splatto.
Yeah, Splato Comics and Ethan Van Sciver. I mean, shit, self-publishing is a thing now.
Yeah, I think
the Copyright Act of, what was it, 2000? Was it 2003, 2004 that they passed that, where first to file copyright law? I mean, that's basically what set the basis for all these self-publishing companies. And you want to publish a book, go to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Indiegogo, and maybe Kickstarter if you're progressive enough.
Yeah, definitely. But you want to, but I think there is only one monkey in the wrench that could fucking derail this, and that comes in the form of Stripe.
Yeah.
That could be a potential problem. Because Stripe loves to fucking virtue signal. They show it fucking maker support.
Yeah, well, I mean, there still are alternatives. Like Barnes & Noble, from what I know, they have an entire program that they do with self-published authors where they will publish your book and give you pretty decent royalties. Yeah, something like 20% of all sales, something like that, which is much better than any of the, legacy publishing houses like Bantam, Valentine, Penguin.
You ain't getting diddly from those.
Oh yeah, they'll give you like 2 to 5% if you're lucky, and that's if you're already. Chances are they won't even publish you unless you've been published already by a small house. Barnes & Noble will do it no fucking problem. But why do that when you can just go to Amazon or fucking Wattpad of all things? You can just publish it yourself and charge a fucking $1 for it. As long as you can promote, you're good.
Yeah.
And how Kool-Aid is Lulu? How Kool-Aid is Lulu, would you say?
I don't have a lot of experience with them, but I haven't really heard anything bad about them. They just seem to attract a certain kind of audience. So...
Oh, are you talking about the erotica audience, I assume?
Yeah, it's definitely a part of it. They're sort of like, in my opinion, they're kind of like Tumblr. It's not that they really push a narrative so much as their large user base tends to lean a specific direction.
Oh, God.
Or I guess another example would be, I guess, Reddit, minus the authoritarian nature of a lot of the moderators.
Yeah, and besides, even if Stripe tries to pull that shit on Indiegogo, believe me, if they try any of that shit, Indiegogo's a pretty large platform. There's going to be a shitstorm.
Oh, there will be a massive backlash. I've already supported Jawbreakers and fucking Cyberfrog. If they pull anything, I might actually just make a Twitter account just to bitch them out for it.
Shit, I'm sure fucking Ethan Van Sciver and Richard Meyer is gonna fucking sue the shit out of Stripe.
Well, and if they're smart, they won't do that because they've already seen what happens when you spit on your fucking user base. Marvel's made that fucking mistake. Now Lucasfilm and Disney have made that mistake. Stripe should not, again, as we were saying earlier, you see this potato head over here? You see what he did?
Don't do that.
Don't do this.
Don't do that. Don't do this. Yeah. Actually, the line is never go for this. Only villains do that.
Yeah, but Stripe, it's the primrose path of virtues. That's a siren call.
Yeah. I hope they don't, because if they do,
ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time that we tie ourselves to the ship, so we don't get it.
Okay.
And so that after the fact we can watch them throw themselves into the sea, as you do.
Yes.
Now with that said, now that I've had, since 2 weeks ago we had a chance to bury Onyx Path Publishing. It seems that we're going once more into the breach.
Nice segue, by the way, since we're talking about all these idiots doing wrong, what you're not supposed to do. Exactly.
Oh, God.
Yeah, Onyx Publishing, fucking Ryan Johnson, everybody.
I'm sorry, but thank you, Wizard's wife, for calling my bluff.
Uh-oh, what did they do now?
I'm going to put this in the Discord for you guys.
I am retweeting that shit.
Thank you. This is the highlight of the night.
The Mickey Mouse ears fucking make it. That's great. The Eye of Mouse.
Yes.
I will. If I
House of Mouse is watching.
use that in the video, I will definitely have to credit her. Of course, that ultimately depends on whether or not Sony Vegas will cooperate with me. But that's a whole other matter. I'll have to strangle Sony Vegas later. But the other, I should note that the other prediction, and I think I made this last week, but but given what we're delving into, it does bear repeating. Yes. I have a distinct suspicion that D&D is going to try and announce a new edition, either at this Gen Con or the next.
I'm going to take a gamble and say this one.
And the reason why is because of Pathfinder 2nd Edition is releasing its playtest version next month. There is going to be a normal version of the book, a limited version of the book, and a free PDF along with a free adventure. I'm possibly going to be doing the free adventure. I don't know when. But I will be grabbing the PDF version because I do not relish the idea of spending that amount of money on a beta.
Yeah, you might as well try it before you buy it.
Yeah. Especially since a beta version of an RPG and the final version are not exactly the same. In fact, sometimes they're better, sometimes not. That said, there will probably be the reason why I say that is because Pathfinder seems to be going in the exact opposite direction. i.e. giving people options and having characters be far more customizable, not worrying about is this going to be accessible to newbies. No, it's we're doing things this way because we want to give people options to make it as easy or complex as they want it to be.
Exactly. That's what we should be.
And they're doing a few things that are legit improvements. So I think they're going to try and pull a Me Too, the original version, not the shit hashtag, and try and copycat it like they copycatted a bunch of elements from Fate.
They're not going to succeed. I'll tell you that much.
I think what's going to happen, because this has been happening for the last few books that they've put out, where they'll do this fancy ass limited edition thing and talk about how it's a big deal, and then when you finally then when you finally see what's in it, it's blah. Like the most recent case was Mordecai's Tome of Foes,
Oh god.
which even though it expanded the monster manual, which is what was desperately needed, they did not need to give it a fancy ass name, and two, they still dropped the fucking ball.
Yeah.
The one before that was Xanathar's Guide to Everything, which was just a collection of stuff that was already for free in PDF form in the Unearthed Arcana series of expansions.
Just remember the golden rule, Mildra. You have to ask the dragon for consent before you shoot it in the face with an obsidian bolt from a ballista.
Who the fuck is running that D&D sub part out of Wizards? What, are they taking more advice from fucking Geek and Sundry again? God damn.
Who knows?
It wouldn't surprise me, even though the front man for Critical Role is touted as being one of the guys helping out Open Legend, which is a much better game and a much freer game. In fact, the whole it was designed entirely to be an open source RPG.
Mm-hmm.
But and I've talked with the guy, and even though there was that incident with the guy who he was using streams for playtests with, I don't hold any grudge with the creator of the guy. I just hold a grudge with the guy who fired me. But that said, with all that bullshit out of the way, I think it's time we return to Vampire for this particular article of fail. Because even though he deleted this after Onyx Path called him out, the internet, as you all know, never forgets.
Oh no.
This will be fun.
But before we do that, I want you guys to converse. I need to get myself a drink to prepare because this is gonna hurt.
Oh God! Now that you mention that, I think I need to get a drink for myself. So I apologize if you guys hear an AC unit running in the background.
Yep. We're gonna have some dead air too, because I'm gonna take this opportunity to do whatever. So.
Oh God, are you guys leaving me by myself? I'm gonna have to carry the show on my own. Shit, I wish I was looking at the chat. Well, if anybody wants to see something rather entertaining, go check out NBC's broadcast from today and look at the faces of all of the broadcasters and reporters who have to comment on Trump visiting Russia and shaking hands with Vladimir Putin while... Yeah, just a day later or so, they had those indictments against those 12 Russian agents. The misery is so strong with these people. It is fucking hilarious. Don't even put the sound on. Just look at their facial expressions. It's like they're staring into the deadlights of Pennywise the Clown. It is hilarious and it's amazing. And of course, they showed Trump shaking hands with Putin, followed up immediately by a clip with him shaking hands with Kim Jong-un. And their title, Friends or Foes? Trump visits Russia.
What is this? What is this? Raw in 1997?
Hey man, I had to come up with something while you guys were gone. I didn't want there to be dead air for the audience.
Yeah, no worries. And I'm back. And for the record, the drink of choice is Dr. Pepper. If the official drink of ordering drunk at Del Tacos.
Oh yes,
Del Taco. Fuck.
Just if you're drinking with homicide, sleep elsewhere because you might get peed on.
Yeah, you guys might get a kick out of this real quick. What I was telling the audience is go look at MSNBC's broadcast from tonight and look at the face of every single reporter having to comment about Trump visiting Russia after those indictments. They look like they're staring into the deadlights of Pennywise the Clown. It's fucking great.
Yeah.
We all float.
They
Yeah,
all float down here.
Yeah, at this point, Trump's like, I don't give a fuck what you think.
All right.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Now then, everybody get your helmet. Strap the crash helmet on because we're going in deep. We are going in deeper than a Mercedes Carrera scene.
That's freaking deep.
That's pretty based, bro.
Oh God! if she's watching this, I'm gonna hear it in a few days probably.
No, if anything, she'll compliment you.
And okay, this article is from somebody called Dog with Dice, who's strike one, he's a furry. Strike two, he has that creep look. And strike three, he apparently writes young adult literature.
All furries need to fucking hang.
Oh God, Jesus, why? Oh my God, Mildred, I'm not drunk enough for this. What the fuck?
Oh my God.
I should have grabbed a whiskey, not a beer.
Oh my God. I should have got my holy water, my crucifix, my garlic,
some sage, a little bit of salt.
Yeah, hemlock.
Battle Brothers, get the flavors.
Yeah.
Someone call in the fucking Colonial Marines. We're gonna need help with this one.
Ooh boy.
No, Exterminatus.
Yeah, Exterminatus would be a better option.
Yes.
All right, and anyway,
virus bomb the planet. We're done.
Oh boy.
And anyway, the article is titled "How New White Wolf Marketed Vampire the Masquerade to the Alt-Right and Neo-Nazis."
Of course.
And anytime you guys want to jump in, just say Oklahoma. That is our safe word for this.
Can we make a drinking game out of this?
Oklahoma.
No, we can't make a drinking game because then we'd be dead, and I don't feel like killing myself on stream.
I was gonna say, every time we hear Nazi or alt-right, we take a drink. Is that not too much?
That's worse than the Stephen King drinking game. That will kill you.
Oh my!
I'm gonna give it a try. Let's find out. I might want to die after listening to this shit.
So basically, the article's gonna end up inevitably making White Wolf a lot more money.
Probably.
Well, since they're working with Mephidius, they've already gotten my money. Anyway, it says this will be a contentious series of articles, even before they had been published. Before one word of them had been made public, I received comments from people condemning them as SJW cancer and a host of other buzzwords. Well, if you can't take the hate, get out of my fucking kitchen and don't you ever start making me sandwiches again. This article may be attacked. My website may be hit. I may receive a flood of negative attention and threats. I'll discuss
Oklahoma. Can we get the link in the Discord, please?
Yeah, I did post it a while back, but I will repost it for you guys. There you go.
Okay, here we go. All right.
I know when I posted a link because I hear the phone.
Yeah,
the phone bugging. I see you saying.
Okay, so
heavy ion beam ready.
All right, so you ended the first paragraph. Okay, let's go.
And he says, I will discuss that form of reaction to these articles in due course at a later stage. At this time, however, I would like to preface this with a comment. This article discusses marketing, which he's put out in bold. It is a discussion on marketing strategies, audiences, and business decisions. And hang on, let me see if I can do something.
What did I just say? What did I just tweet out about Marketing 101 before we went on air? Oh my God.
Don't do what Ryan Johnson did.
Exactly, but I also tweeted something out about marketing. It says, let's see here. Where does it say?
All right. For those in the...
No, I didn't tweet it out. I did it in response to a war pig.
Yep. Just remember, hashtag war pig is right.
Exactly. No, it wasn't a response to War Pig. Yeah, he did get. There was a response to Brad Wardell.
All right.
Yeah, so
I've got the screen share up for everybody, so this will be a little easier. I'm not sure why screen share fucked up when I did this last time.
well, it's working here.
Anyway,
Yeah, you're good.
it is a discussion on marketing strategies, audiences, and business decisions. It is not an attack on your favorite tabletop role-play game.
AKA, it's an attack on their favorite role-playing game.
If you have to preface with that, then
it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's a slam.
Even with that preface in place, I fully expect that it will fall on many deaf ears. As a result, those who wish to engage in discussion on the topic, I will include regular summaries of the points I make as I make them. Doing so empowers people to understand at a glance the purpose that is being put across and the talking points that are addressed in this article. Then why'd you put the fucking preface there to begin with? And
furthermore, Oklahoma, of course, within the first two paragraphs, empowers them.
Oh my god, double Oklahoma. These motherfuckers. It's like they're basically saying we're gonna attack your shit. We don't know jack shit about marketing, and you could say all the SJW buzzword where we're just gonna. They're basically saying we're basically a bunch of baboons and we're gonna throw some poo.
SJW Playbook 101. I'm
putting this out. If anybody here or anybody watching this knows somebody who has an actual marketing background, let me know so I can send them this so I can get their retort.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And anyway, he says, but first, a little piece of opening fiction, as is the style of White Wolf games. Okay, so you do know how this is supposed to work. He says, under the starlit night, the young vampire sat cross-legged atop his towering skyscraper. High above, the moon lit the silhouette of his sire, who stood, unflinching and statuesque, at the edge of the roof. Below, the city's light sparkled like a reflection of the stars in a black lake. Tell me, said the elder, what does it mean to be a vampire? The youngster inhaled, thinking for a moment. It means, he said slowly and uncertainly, that we are better, that our blood and the strength of our heritage makes us superior to all other races. It makes us potent, creatures of great intellect and artistic vision and purity. Wow, said the elder vampire. Amazing. Every word that you have just said is wrong. Did you just fucking quote The Last Jedi, you
motherfucker?
Oh, goodness. This is wonderful.
Rum. I should have went out and gotten some rum.
Oh my god.
This is a treat. This is a fucking
treat. This is gonna be fun.
Okay.
Oh boy.
White Wolf is no stranger to courting controversy. In the 1990s, the media headline surrounding Rod Farrell, a member of a so-called vampire cult in Kentucky, forced the then fledgling company to publish a statement defending itself when the popular tabletop RPG Vampire the Masquerade was named as a heavy influence on Rod Farrell's lifestyle and beliefs. I remember hearing about that. That was
Oklahoma. So basically, they're quoting some dumbass, some fucking satanic panic assholes. Good God.
Yeah, I remember writing a piece about these incidents along with the West Mississippi 3, which
yeah, he legitimately thought he was a vampire. Like
this wasn't a case of he read too many books. He was
mental
legit,
issues.
He was legit cuckoo.
Yeah, mental issues will do that to you.
Didn't he like murder 2 people or something?
I'll have to check on that, but I think he did.
Yeah, something like that.
The cult in question, of course, subsisted mainly of troubled young teens who were looking for a release from the boredom of their day-to-day lives and a means to work out their internal troubles. There's nothing innately wrong or unusual about that. That's rich coming from this prick.
Bullshit.
And it is doubtless that had Farrell not become drawn to the game in particular, his inner demons would have surfaced in some other way. You know, I'm not gonna cover it tonight, but I think after I get back from vacation, we need to go over the story of the boy from Portland who fell victim to panic when they came to the idea of future school shooters. I'm not going to go into the full story, but basically, in their attempt to try and catch school shooters before it happened, they ended up They ended up causing a scenario that would have made an autistic kid, if it was in any other situation, become a school shooter out of sheer frustration out of the shit he was going through. But he says, but then he goes, "This is true for most young people, and it became something of a learning exercise for White Wolf, who found themselves in a dubious spotlight." Yeah, well, Steve Jackson found himself in a dubious spotlight after his game was accidentally seized by the Secret Service. What's your fucking point? No, I'm not kidding.
Munchkin got seized by the Secret Service?
This was a long ass time ago, but somebody thought that GURPS Cyberpunk was a hacking manual, and they ended up getting the Secret Service knocking on their door asking a few questions.
Oh my
Lord. What is reality anymore?
Now, it goes, for you see, as discussed in the History Channel documentary, one of the primary reasons that the children had been drawn to the image of the vampire was the mythology of them offered a taste of superiority over the others in their small rural town. And that's kind of why vampires and fascism has a really, really strong connection.
Oh, wait. Oklahoma. Fascism. Drink.
Drinking.
Yep. Drink. I'm going to be done with the butt. Good thing I don't drink.
I'm drinking Dr. Pepper. I will be highly caffeinated by the time we're done here.
Oh my god.
You're going to be fucking wired and I'm going to be drunk as shit.
Yep.
Now, aside from the fact that there was absolutely nothing in common between fascism and vampires. Elitism, maybe, but fascism, no.
Oh my god.
The only way you can really do that is if you're going full Helsing.
Yeah, and you know what?
That'll work.
Yeah, and you know what? They'll fit right in with their fucking social justice cult if this happened like 20 years later.
Yeah.
Helsing actually seems very SJW when you think about it. You know, they're all for taking a vampire and putting a leash on him and then unleashing him to go kill his own kind. You know, you cis white male over there, go kill all the other cis white males because repent for your sins.
Yeah. Yeah. Catcher Freeman.
Well, if you wanted to look at it simplistically, but as somebody who's read the manga and watched both versions of the anime, that's not exactly the case.
No, I know. I'm being very hyperbolic, to be honest.
Yeah. He goes, on the surface level, vampires appeal to people by means not only of their mysticism, but their potency. They are ever living. They can lift trucks with one hand. They can command the minds of lesser beings, which for a vampire is everybody. Nope, it's not everybody. There are plenty of other things in the World of Darkness universe that are very, very well suited to om-nom-nomming a vampire.
Lycans,
mages, fairies, very well-equipped hunters.
Van Helsing, kind of the namesake of what we were just talking about.
Yeah, really.
Well, the Valkyrie unit in Hunter the Vigil is very well suited to dealing with this kind of shit. Oh yeah, and mummies and demons.
Is it just me, or are you getting flashbacks, Mildra, from that article last year talking about Warhammer 40,000 and its lack of representation, and thinking that whoever the fuck wrote this clearly has never played the fucking game?
Obviously,
again, that came from somebody whose only argument was to use a gotcha.
Yeah, I'm getting that feeling again.
You kind of lose all credibility when you're associated with a Poe.
Yeah. Well, didn't you just say whoever wrote this was a furry who writes young adult fiction?
Exactly.
I kind of have a feeling he's never played the fucking game.
Anyway, because
probably
the ultimate wish fulfillment fantasy, and they don't have to truly work at it in order to accomplish those traits. Their strength and virility comes naturally to them because they are born, or to be exact, or to be exact, reborn with it. It's in their blood. Wrong.
Bullshit.
Yep. For that reason, hereditary station is important to vampires. Their blood is what gives them strength, and with it, the right to feed on others. Because a vampire is a superior form of life, their race, by means of their blood, gives them an almost divine right to feed on lowly mortals, to thin the herd, if you will.
Projecting much, aren't we?
That is complete and total bullshit. Aside from the fact that if that was truly the case, then the masquerade would not exist. The Camarilla would not exist.
Yeah, not only that, isn't this some sort of form of projection, considering their fucking cult?
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, the traditional idea of a Bram Stoker-esque vampire doesn't necessarily look down on humans despite viewing them as a food source, because their very survival is dependent upon cultivating a herd or a livestock. They're intertwined. It's not a superiority thing. It's a matter of survival.
And
if I remember correctly.
Yeah, very, very much so. I do, even though I don't agree with her, I do think that Maven of the Eventide, I remember when she did a review of Blade years ago, she brought up the whole idea of vampires taking notes from Mafia, which makes certain sense when you consider the tropes of a Mafia film. And Kyoryu decides to quote Hellsing Ultimate. Now, or rather Hellsing Ultimate Abridged. Now, in any other circumstance, you might have had a point here. But my boss was a woman, I was a chick in the 40s, I hate everyone equally, and there's no one alive who can comprehend my sexual preferences.
Check your privilege. I fucking love Hellsing Abridged.
Goes, this point of view may be familiar to people who played the version of Vampire the Masquerade as published during the late 90s by White Wolf. It was exemplified by a specific section of vampires that existed within the game, called the Sabbat. They were typically framed as villains of the narrative. At the start of the game's development in early editions, the Sabbat were little more than rampaging monsters. But as the game developed, they became more and more clearly defined. They became social Darwinists, fascists who believed in their
drink.
Yep, drink.
Who believed in their rule by divine right and wanted to dominate and quell humanity because they were the chosen race. Except here's the thing.
Qualify?
You disqualify your own argument because they were portrayed as the villains who broke the rules.
That's the point of villains, eh?
Wait, real quick. Does chosen race qualify as a drink? Because I think it does.
Get out the rum.
Yep.
Drink.
All right. Then he goes summary. Vampires can be, if people read them as such and market them as such, an excellent metaphor for fascism and racial supremacy.
Drink.
Double shot.
Drink. Double drink. Fuck. This was a bad idea.
Woo-wee, you're gonna be blitzed.
I am skipping the summary parts because we're going through the full thing, so there's no need to. And goes, and they again were the villains. Several core concepts differentiated them from the game's base playable classes. Okay, here's one sign that you haven't played the game. The World of Darkness engine does not use classes. It uses archetypes at best. This isn't D&D.
I'd say even archetypes is in a way a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Because all it really determines is a few abilities that you'll be able to utilize and some things that you're better at learning. That's it.
More than anything, it just determines play style. I wouldn't even.
This moron read the Cliff Notes version of fucking Vampire the Masquerade.
Yeah, we'll see. He goes. Then goes the Camarilla, a faction that was corrupt in its own unique way. Well, except did he want the Camarilla to be virtuous? This is based in the World of Darkness setting. There is never supposed to be good or evil in that setting. Only shades of gray, which is why it had its appeal. He goes, the main method of this was by means of a humanity system. by which vampires who were members of the Camarilla maintained a grasp on their connection to their human self and soul, all while struggling not to fall to their bestial nature, while the Sabbat used different varied systems. That's not too far off. You do have to balance between humanity and the beast. What that really means is that in the better video game, what it meant is that you can't. If you overfeed, you could lose. You could end up losing humanity, and that beast could take over.
So basically, if you're gonna to retain your humanity, you gotta take the eat to live approach.
Yeah.
I'm starting to believe in the Cliff Notes argument here.
Yep.
Mm. That was in terms of system. In terms of presentation, the game focused heavily on the aspect of the curse. Vampires were who they were not because they were blessed, but because they were cursed by God. Their immortality was a judgment, a damnation. The game's cover, with a single solitary Ankh necklace, captured the idea of the question of life. What was the purpose and meaning of life, if it were eternal and without end? And what pushes us to achieve our goals, if not the threat of the end of life coming towards us? And as predators, are we truly above the lives that we take? It was imperative from a marketing and an intellectual level that vampires should be framed as damned creatures, that the curse could not be forgotten. If the game had chosen to make the idea of being a vampire too palatable, too thrilling, too sexual, without that balance to remind you were playing a monster, then it would be a little more than playing a game of racial superiority.
Drink!
Yep, there's it.
Oh, the SJW playbook is strong with this one.
Ooh, yes, sir.
So people were preternaturally phenomenal because of their bloodlines. So White Wolf chose not to overly sexualize the vampires, not too much, and especially not on the covers of their rule books, just to be certain that can
we count that as a drink because they're shaming sexuality?
Yep.
Yeah,
and what you see in front of you is the announced cover for the basic version of Vampire the Masquerade as published by White Wolf and Mephidius Entertainment. This is apparently where he starts taking issue. Now, aside from the fact that they still have the Ankh in there, it's just not the pronounced thing. His basic whole thing is that he wants vampires to constantly be that level of emo. I've mentioned this in the past, but I utterly despise anytime somebody says that you have to play an RPG a certain way and no other way. Now, there are certain games that lend themselves more to one play style than the other, and that is something that I encourage people to be aware of when they look at games that are right for their group. But at the same time, you don't. If I'm running a high fantasy style game, you do not walk up to me and tell me that I cannot take influence from manga or from video games, because if you do, the only thing that you're going to get out of it is a punch in the face.
I think this is appropriate, and I'm sure somebody in the chat is going to appreciate this. I love you, Edward. I love you too, Bella.
Oh, hell no. Do not bring that series up.
Knock, knock. Who's there? Bang, 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 bang. Oh, you know. A real fucking vampire.
Exactly. And by the way, thank you, Jagoff. You just gave me the baseline for what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna design the new cover to my game. Well done.
He goes, Chapter 1, How to Build a Nazi Playhouse.
Drink.
Fuck. This was a mistake.
We are here. I feel like at the end of this, I'm going to be singing. Fuck you, I'm drunk. Fuck you, I'm drunk.
Ooh,
you can
Danny
throw
boy.
up my beer, I've got more in the trunk. Fuck you, I'm drunk. Fuck you, I'm drunk, and I'm gonna be drunk till the next time I'm drunk.
No, you're gonna be way past that. You'll be singing Danny Boy.
Oh God, happy days are here again.
Yes.
Anyway, he goes, so yeah, when White Wolf hereafter referred to by a more accurate name, a bunch of Swedish edgelords.
Does that count
Is
as
that
a drink?
I
Yeah.
think that counts as a drink.
Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
counts as a drink because that is a very much case of irony, calling them edgelords when he's the one who wants all vampires to be emo.
I wonder how triggered he is by the name White Wolf. I just want to know.
Yeah, it's like that. It's like you ever seen Balls of Steel? There's a segment called "Told You the Militant Black Guy." You ever seen that shit?
No, I haven't actually. I need to look that up when we're done.
Look it up. You'll know what I'm talking about. And you'll know what I'm talking about. It's fucking hilarious.
That's going on the list.
Yes.
And anyway, when they were reformed in 2016 with an entirely new development team, that was in 2016. I think that was the time when they were purchased by Paradox and they got wrested away from CCP. Because, well, let's be honest, CCP wasn't going to do shit with them because their cash cow is Eve. They're too busy making new spreadsheets. Anyway, it was a whole new.
Who runs that company? Bill Lumberg?
We'll get back to that later. With a whole new purpose and intent to set out and recreate the smash hit of Vampire the Masquerade for a younger audience. They had their work cut out for them. After all, a whole new generation had grown up in that time. When they announced that they were making a 5th edition of the game, a lot of people were excited. I was one of them. When they announced their intention to continue their game after the Gehenna event, a global apocalypse that ended the original Vampire the Masquerade series entirely, a lot of people were very confused. It soon became obvious that White Wolf, I am refusing to refer to his nickname for them, were aiming to essentially redevelop much of this game's setting. And that's understandable. After all, by taking the game ahead in time about 10 years, which, due to the passage of real-world time, is essentially what has happened.
Well, wait, what's the nickname?
A bunch of Swedish edgelords.
Drink!
They had very much a blank slate on which they could write their own game. What kind of setting could they create? Well, first of all, before we discuss that, we need to talk about Nazis.
Drink again!
Drink again. At this point, I need to point out that I'm not accusing White Wolf of being a group of Nazis. Bullshit, you are. Nor am I accusing any of their individual creators of harboring Nazi sentiments. At least not loud. Yeah, if that was the case, why'd you delete this article when Rich called you out?
Oh my god, this drinking game was a horrible idea.
Oh boy.
I have chosen to name them a bunch of Swedish edgelords rather than a bunch of Swedish Nazis.
Drink again and drink again.
2 drinks.
I should have put a drink counter on here. I'm going to be drunker than cure you.
Fuck. I've already gone through 2 beers. What the
Oh boy.
This
was a horrible idea.
Doesn't look like we're not even halfway through this article.
No,
Jesus.
for a very specific reason, because I'm discussing how a group is marketing their game, their target audience, and the techniques which they're using to reach their main demographic. Yeah, you said that already in the introduction.
Yeah.
I'm not indicating anybody at the company of being a Nazi. With that said, let's move on.
This motherfucker. Oh my god, the buzzwords. The SJW playbook is
buzzword
strong.
bingo time.
As I mentioned,
playbook is so strong with this one.
As I've mentioned, vampires have a strong appeal to those of a fascist persuasion.
Drink
no, they
again.
don't.
Drink.
They appeal in terms of the power fantasy and the ideals of racially imbued strength and intellectual potency.
Does that count as drink?
We're actually.
No, I'm going to say that one doesn't. I'm going to say that one doesn't count.
He's going full Anita on this because one thing that Anita would constantly do in her videos is repeat herself or bring up points that she made in previous videos, even though they're not related. Just try and dress them up in different words.
Oh my
Mildred, are you overriding me and saying that counts as drink?
If you think it counts as a drink, then drink.
I don't know. I don't know if that one counts as drink.
I'm not counting repetition as a drink. We are enforcing the Delo rule.
Okay.
I think that's repetition, not buzzword. So I'm going to say that doesn't count as drink.
Yep. But there are other key traits that basically everybody can agree on about the Nazis.
That counts as a drink, though.
Yep.
Drink.
Mainly that they hated other ethnic groups. In fact, hatred is often the key point
Ethnic group. That's
when
a drink.
discussing Nazi ideology.
Drink.
Again.
What groups do they despise the most? Most people assume the Nazis hated the Jews, but this is something of simplification. Nazis in truth hated many different groups, all of which in some way were seen as a threat to a racial ethno-nation.
Drink.
Use another beer. I'm not going to be able to get another beer by the time the next drink rolls around. What the fuck?
It'll be coming in a second.
We are not having you do a BRRR. We're not having you do a BEERRUN.
Seriously, dude, this shit is ridiculous. Oh my god.
Christ.
Oh god, I said we were going salt mining, but we have hit the mother lode.
Ooh, yes. Money.
Oh my god.
This
motherfucker's gonna make me go broke with the amount of money I'm gonna have to spend on booze.
All of which in some way were seen as threats to the... Alright, I already went then. One of the biggest groups that Nazis hated were communists. And because they saw communists and socialists as people who were striving to lead the way towards a worldwide global community. Nice way showing your hand, jackass.
Yeah.
Wait, does communist and globalist count as drink?
No, that's not that's our buzzwords.
Given the tweet that's right below this, I'm going to count it as such.
Fuck.
Which is an idea that was strongly at odds with their nationalistic goal. And he brings up a tweet from a check mark arguing with another check mark.
Oh my god.
Brett Stevens and Laura Ingram. Who the fuck are these two?
I know who Laura Ingram is.
Arguing about globalist cabals.
Yeah, I know who Laura Ingram is. She's the guy that almost got showed that David Hogg tried to show her.
And the one that she slapped down like the fucking little shill he is.
Yeah, little bastard.
And yeah, Captain is right. Hashtag Dead Sea Salt.
Yes.
In fact, I should probably have as the thumbnail for this episode, the Dead Sea, the second saltiest thing on Earth, next to your bitch ass.
I still love that meme.
Yes.
That's a classic.
This, without any coincidence, is why Nazis tend to use the term
drink.
Globalist.
Double drink.
Son of a...
A catch-all phrase that incorporates many of these groups that they view as enemies, including Jews, who they view as pulling much of society's strings through financial and media control. Socialists, who they view as attempting to water down racial purity by crossbreeding.
Wait, is racial purity a drink?
No.
Nope.
I'm enforcing the ELO rule on that. It's also certain fields of academic study, sociology, and those linked with the Frankfurt School, which shares a connection with Karl Marx.
Well, they're not wrong.
Religious groups, social progressives, such as black civil rights protests, and so on, are held to be abhorrent to their goals. And the thing is, in the worldview, they are losing. The globalists are the majority. Ha!
If they are the majority, then why is the EU turning? Is pretty much one cunt hair away from collapsing.
And national populists are pretty much becoming the norm in the EU. Totally different topic of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I know I usually don't go into politics, but since he's decided to open that little Pandora's box, we may as well. See, they control the world, moving politics behind the scenes, altering the media to frame them as the villains. This feels like that guy who ranted at Chuck during his playthrough of the Old Republic about Jews run the news. Trying to frame them as the villains. In their minds, globalists are conspiring at every point to destroy them by watering down their culture through social justice, put in quotes, crushing their racial heritage and destroying their preconceived views of the world. It's all quite simple.
Oklahoma. I want to say one thing. And this is something that always irks me about individuals that bring up the Jewish question, as it were.
Oh, God.
You're talking about individuals like George Soros, who sold out his own religious / ethnic group to people who would have them killed. It has nothing to do with people being Jewish. It has everything to do with people who are greedy and do not give a flying fuck about anybody else, except for their own well-being and trying to make money.
Yeah, the only thing they got in common with Jews is their last names.
Yeah, it just so happens that, there's a lot of people who tend to be Jewish who work in media, but it's not a Jewish thing. It just has to do with people who are fucking assholes and shitheads.
Exactly.
It has nothing to do with race or ethnicity. You can find any number of examples of people who aren't Jewish that are just as bad, if not worse. Like, for example, Warren Buffett.
Yep. Anyway, he goes, I wanted to discuss this because in the 5th edition of Vampire the Masquerade, the game's main antagonist is an organization dubbed the Second Inquisition. Following the Gehenna incident, this organization was formed, a secret political group that exists to fight back against the vampires. They control the world, moving politics behind the scenes, altering the media to frame them as the, oh, for fuck's sake. That's... There's stretching, and then there's having Reed Richards be drawn and quartered.
Oh, they're engaged in some serious aerobics here. This is like some yoga level stretching.
Yeah, has he been taking stretching lessons from Dalsim and trying to in order to bend himself in ways that nature never intended?
Maybe he's the apprentice for Mr. Fantastic. Who knows?
Yeah.
No, he's the apprentice for Plastic Man.
Stretch Armstrong.
Stretch Art. Oh man.
Oh god,
Anyone
I had
who
one
was
of those.
born after 1990 is not going to know that reference.
Oh.
If you don't know it, look it up. The internet is for more things than just watching stuff one-handed.
Yes.
He goes, Chapter 2, Sending Out Subtle Invitations. Now, I know what you're thinking. No, you fuck. The only thing that I'm thinking right now is you're a fucking idiot, dog. Perhaps this is just reading too much into it. Yes, it is. Maybe I'm simply seeing more of this than...
It is, you furry bastard.
Maybe I'm simply seeing more to this than what is actually there.
Yes, you are.
The self-awareness, finally. I've been waiting.
You're right. We shouldn't be looking at the setting and the dubious front cover alone. Then why are you making us drink into a fucking stupor with this shit?
Because he hates us, apparently.
Surely the gameplay itself is what will define the playing experience. It possibly will, but don't fucking call me Shirley. Well, finally somebody fucking got it. Thankfully, White Wolf had me covered. For you see, they released an alpha playtest of the game. I've run that alpha playtest, actually. It's pretty damn good. Sorry, carbonation. I downloaded this on the first day, keen to see what the PDF contained. How would they update the system to bring the game into the 21st century? Well, it streamlined the attribute skills by, like, a lot, as in there are almost nothing left of them. It was railroady, very railroady.
Omaha. Just to make sure that I'm seeing and heard by, like, a lot? I need to hear that in a Valley Girl voice. In your best Valley Girl voice.
It was railroading.
Toku, I fucking hate you.
Yeah. It was railroading, like very railroady.
Like it was railroady, like a lot. God, that sounds even worse. I can't do high pitched.
Oh my god!
Like, did they take like totally railroading guys by a lot?
Look, just
did they get their ideas of talking from script writing from Joss Whedon? Ugh.
No, Joss Whedon doesn't do anything this horrible. He makes the same damn character.
Guys, this is so insensitive. There's no way I can play this at Starbucks while drinking my latte. This is unacceptable.
Yeah, well, too bad you're in the monastery. We drink our coffee one way and only one way, black. Because how much more black can this coffee get? And the answer is
none more black.
None more black. And anyway,
it can't get as black as my soul.
And anyway, it had a new system intended to measure your character's hunger, which was fun if you enjoy keeping track of individual numbers. Oh, so he's one of those story game fucks at the Forge.
Cry about the fucking mechanics. What, you can't do simple math, you jackass?
If you want,
I'm sorry that you don't know what 2 + 2 equals.
Jello.
If that's anybody who's making this sort of argument and has not had to go through the charts upon charts in Rollmaster back in the day has no room to talk.
Exactly. Leave the fucking hall.
Oh God.
Leave the fucking hall.
There's no fucking way this guy played this game or any fucking tabletop game for that matter. Not even Warhammer.
I think his experience it seems like his experience begins and ends with D&D, and that's what he uses as his default.
Yeah, 5th edition.
Yeah, Cuck edition. And
yes,
the video for that is coming. I just have to do some hardcore editing. I am hoping to do some crunch time and have that thing out before I leave.
Yeah, but I heard you. But then again, you got to fight with Sony Vegas.
No, yeah. Don't call it D&D 5th edition. Call it what it really is. It's D&D edition. Ask the dragon for consent before you murder it.
That is too wordy.
D&D the consent edition.
D&D woke edition.
Well, given how WotC is bleeding money, we'll go with that. We'll go with D&D woke. We'll go with D&D woke edition because wokeness begets brokeness.
Hey, get woke, go broke.
That's right.
Deal with it, Jeremy. I said it first.
Well, he did get the shirt out, so that's something.
Yeah, but I still have to make fun.
Hey, that might be a way to get Jeremy on the channel.
What, ask for royalties from the shirt?
No,
I'm not asking for royalties from the damn shirt. Just saying, I said it first, motherfucker.
Yeah. It's like, so how did this new Hunger Systems micromanagement interact with the game's morality and humanity systems? Yes, good question. How was humanity the core focus of the game that prevented your character from being a truly unrepentant monster? Well, I don't know. The alpha didn't actually have it.
$20, he didn't read it.
Wait. Real quick. I can sum up this entire article with what was just said. I don't know.
That works.
There it is.
Exactly.
But, well, that's okay, right? I mean, without the confines of, morals, you were free to roleplay any kind of character that you wanted. It was open like that. A wonderful blank canvas for you to do what you wanted without the constraint of simply lowly human morals. After all, you are a vampire now. You're better than that. You can play your character however you want.
I think that qualifies as drink.
Yes. Okeechobee. What, does he think this game is like fucking Bob Ross painting? Jesus Christ. Blank canvas. I'll beat the devil out of his ass.
Anyway, he goes. You're better than that. You can play your character however you want. So grab your character sheets, which the game is pre-generated for your convenience. It's a fucking play test. Are you expecting to do full character creation in a play test?
Apparently, yes.
Jesus.
Oh my God.
There is a tree working very, very hard to make sure you have oxygen to breathe. I want you to walk over and apologize.
That definitely fucking qualifies as drink.
Yeah, I'm gonna find that tree and I'm gonna chop it down.
He goes, so get ready to get stuck in and realize that one of the characters is a pedophile.
Drink.
Well, you would. Well, given the kind of company he keeps with the cult of social justice,
and
he should know all about that shit.
Yep, and furries, that's a double fucking portion.
Just how do you fucking shoehorn pedophilia into an article about a goddamn tabletop RPG? What the fuck?
God, this is 1970s level overhead projection.
This is ridiculous.
All right.
No wonder he deleted the damn thing. This is fucking embarrassing.
Jesus Christ.
I'm feeling fucking uncomfortable just listening to it.
Ugh.
Let alone having to get drunk by fucking listening to it. Jesus
I'm gonna
Christ.
take a shower after this shit.
Cold. Now,
Continue,
I know
please.
that I know that many of White Wolf defenders will say that the pre-generated PC in question was not a sexual character and was not a rapist. The character was simply a person who surrounded themselves with children and drank from them regularly.
Drink just because the word drink is involved.
To that, I respond that in this game, the act of drinking blood has always been comparable to a sexual act. In earlier editions, it was said to be
twice, actually.
Yeah, double drink.
It was said to be so pleasurable that it surpassed a vampire's sexual desire and was outright addictive to mortals. By framing this character as someone who drinks primarily from children, the game codes as somebody who indulges in a predominantly sexual act with children.
Drink!
Oh my god, that whole statement just qualifies as chug. We've added a new layer of drink to the drinking game. That's chug right there.
Yeah, now let me... Because I think I have those PDFs, so I'm going to check something. Because if I'm going to rip into this guy, I need to make sure I get my facts straight. So let's see. So I'm looking at what I'm looking at here is the characters, and let's see.
So I just want to make sure that I heard what I just heard correctly. Did this motherfucker seriously just compare pedophilia, vampires, and feeding on children? Just interconnect all of them? Whoa,
I'm afraid he did.
Just what the fuck?
What is this guy's damage?
I
guess someone. You know how they say they dropped it on his head when he was a kid? No, I bet you 10 to 1 he got pile drive to the floor when he was a kid.
No, dude. A quarterback fucking threw this guy for a game-winning touchdown.
Yeah, kick the
baby. Seriously, like, what the shit are you on about, dude?
Oh my word! Oh, and I'm reading down a bit. I'm not going to spoil it, but it gets worse.
Oh, God! Don't tell me it gets worse. No.
Oh yes, it gets worse.
No, I don't need to know that. I'm actually legitimately concerned now. Like, no, don't fucking tell me.
I'm gonna need a shower after this salt mining.
Oh, this is so fucking ridiculous. All of this over a fucking tabletop RPG game.
Good God.
Fuck.
Let's see.
Are you kidding? Just all right. I'm gonna shut my mouth. Just drag me to hell. Let's do this.
That's all right. We're on express elevator to hell.
I've been going through the PDF, and I'm assuming that And the only case I can really find is one of them who is a preacher. Like, Jesus. And anyway, he goes, so why on earth would White Wolf include this? Was it simply to desperate prepubescent attempt at shock value?
Does that count as drink?
Nah, not worth it.
Not in the article.
Okay.
An invitation to the gaming audience to indulge in forbidden fruits. What is this? Seduction of the innocent?
Oh my God.
A tone-deaf attempt to establish a gritty atmosphere. Well, to understand that, we need to once more go back to Nazis. Damn it, Dilo.
Drink.
Drink.
And drink again.
He's bringing up the fucking Charlottesville thing.
Oh my God. Guzzle. guzzle.
That's a chug.
You
That's
got
a fucking chug right there.
You got them mentioning Charlottesville. You got the fucking pictures of tiki torches. Oh my god.
Fuck.
And trying to claim that the
beer number
Kekistani
3.
flag is
Kekistani flag. That's a drink.
Kekistani flag.
That's a drink. Kekistani flag is a fucking drink.
Oh yeah.
Isn't Kekistani a dead meme since fucking Jeff Holiday killed it?
Yeah, that's a drink.
Trying to say that it's been co-opted by the far right, similar to the co-opting of the online meme Pepe the Frog. What, does this guy work for Twitch?
I think he works for the ADL actually.
Yeah. Or the SPLC.
In order to understand why this and other internet memes have become synonymous with the far right and neo-Nazis in particular, it's important to understand how fascism has spread through online discourse. And that in itself is a discussion that could fill a very large academic textbook. A textbook that would go into the trash.
Yep. Into the trash it goes, as Pendulette would say.
Yep. And that in its, let's see, the shortest and perhaps the most direct to this point at discussion here is to remember that the Nazis are obsessed with relative superiority. I think this guy,
I'm putting 2 other goddamn beers in the fridge.
That's a bit of projection because he is obsessed with his own moral superiority. Because like their historic forefather who targeted the disabled, those they felt were physically weaker than them, homosexuals, those who they felt were degenerate to them. I think you're a fucking degenerate.
Yeah.
Those with mental health conditions, those who they felt were
this is projection at this point.
Them. And so on. Modern Nazis strive to show how the others around them can be weaker.
Oh my god!
That modern Doku, your liquor cabinet's going to be empty at this point.
Modern Nazis.
Dude, I've literally since we started this fucking article, I'm on beer number 5.
Oh my word!
Christ. On the internet, employ of showing that someone as weaker than them is caused to display that person display strong emotional reactions, anger, disgust, and so on. Just like the
idiot that wrote this article.
When a victim's emotions get the better of them, that person is declared to be triggered, so named after the psychological effect of reliving painful past experiences, such as in PTSD. You are the same kind of motherfuckers that try to claim PTSD from Twitter. Don't even fucking talk.
I heard victim and triggered and PTSD. I think that between the 3 of those, that counts as drink.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a wise man said on Twitter one time. You're getting cyberbullied? Get off the fucking internet, fool.
Yeah, go for a damn walk, motherfucker. There's more to life than the damn internet.
Let's see. And because the victim has been unable to attain absolute intellectual and emotionless superiority over their abuser, they are
victim and superiority. That's drink.
Drink.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. To the Nazi, they're the intellectual powerhouse, superior by virtue of their righteousness.
Virtue and righteousness. Drink.
Yep. Oh, rightness. I misspoke. This, by no small coincidence, is why triggered jokes have fallen so far out of favor in recent years. No, they fucking haven't. Because as long as people keep acting like complete dumbasses over words, then people will always make fun of you.
Yeah, triggered will be around as long as you keep spurging.
This type of behavior is called edgelording. Can this guy even internet? An attempt to show superiority by causing offense. You know, the whole point of trolling is to get a rise out of people Don't feed the fucking trolls.
Exactly.
We learned this lesson when we were 12.
Does offense count as drink?
Yep.
Yeah, drink.
Yeah. Bottoms up on that one.
Yes, sir.
It is also why I've named a bunch of Swedish edgelords as I have. It is my firm conclusion that the reason that White Wolf chose to code one of their pre-gen PCs as a pedophile. I just skimmed through the pre-gens. I don't see that. So I don't know what PDFs he's grabbing off of this, or if he's making
it up. He's making it up as it goes along. So I asked this idiot, can you please show your work?
Did he actually respond?
Well, since he's taken the fucking thing off, I don't think we're gonna get a response out of him.
Probably not.
Yeah, looks like he's going into probably hidey hole mode.
Mm-hmm.
He'll pop up a week later and he'll fucking claim that you're some alt-right Nazi troll or some shit.
Well, one, I'm a political independent, a political Ronin. Two, I don't tell anybody who I vote for, and three, don't tell me what to do or what to think, because all that you're gonna get is a mouthful of piss.
Well, I'm actually glad you brought that up, because every time somebody asks me who I vote for, and you will get some hilarious responses, all you have to say is not Hillary, and just
Watch
sit
the
back and
spurgery.
watch. Sit back and watch.
I don't
have to know who you vote for.
I do not have a dog in the political fight, but what I do very much love is laughing at stupid people.
I'm right there with you.
Same here, man.
And Kyoryu is asking for me to send him a copy of the PDF. So in order to double check, so I'm going to send him that.
And what I love about these individuals is they're so presumptuous that all I have to say is, I didn't vote for Hillary. They immediately assume I voted for Trump. How do you know that?
You could have voted for Nader for all they know.
Yeah. Shit.
I could have written in Mickey Mouse for all they fucking know.
Yeah. But me, I was just saying, you know what? I'm going full bore. He says, yeah, I voted for Trump. What are you going to do now, bitch?
Actually,
right.
If you want the truth, I voted for Vladimir Putin as president of the United States.
Get out the vodka, comrade.
And anyway, he goes, it is my firm conclusion that the reason that White Wolf chose to code one of their pre-gen PCs as a pedophile was in order to cause sufficient offense. Drink. And in an attempt to make a name for themselves in the far-right edgelord community.
Drink.
You don't fucking know that. And I have yet to see evidence.
Far right, that's drink.
Yep.
Far right equals drink.
If there were any doubt on that intent, then that the idea that perhaps White Wolf had no idea as to their behavior they're emulating, they kind of tipped their hands when they named the Bruja clan's weakness triggered.
Drink.
Ah, delicious liquor.
How much you got left on your liquor cabinet, Doku?
I've gone through 6 beers now.
Ooh,
well. This is fucking delightful.
Okay, I think they're referring. The only Bruja character in here is Sydney. Let me look at his character sheet. And okay, Clan and Bruja. It doesn't really say that. At least not. And let me check the storyteller packet. No, I don't see anything about.
If there is, I give White Wolf an A+ on subtlety.
Let's see here. Yeah, I don't see it.
Oh my word!
There's a the closest thing that I see is the Bruja clan's weakness being frenzy, which is them having extreme emotions.
It's PTSD triggers, not devil triggers.
Yeah. Let's see. Basically, there are times when a Bruja might fly off the handle. It does use the word trigger in it because there are certain things that are going to set off a Bruja, but that's not the same thing.
Yeah, that's not trigger. That's not triggered. That's spurgery.
He goes, fuck me sideways. They actually did that. Okay, let's talk about the Bruja. In the game setting, they are punk rebel vampires. Think the Lost Boys, but with more crush the system. They are descended from warrior philosophies in the Middle Ages, and in the modern setting, they exist as iconoclasts who speak out against the system. It kind of goes without saying that real-world fascists wouldn't be on good grounds with a clan like the Bruja.
Drink!
Yep, that's fascist. Drink.
Given their tendency to shout down bullies and call out fascists.
Drink.
Drink again.
So how do real-world Nazis rephrase people who are similar to the Bruja? The answer is like this. Angry student protesters are not angry student protesters. They're violent, triggered Marxists having a tantrum.
Drink.
Oh, like you're fucking having a tantrum?
Yep.
They are hormonal feminists getting triggered because their safe space is gone and so on. No. That is complete and total bullshit.
Drink for triggered and drink for fucking feminists.
Yeah, and Okeechobee here. Are they saying Bruja is Antifa?
Yeah.
I don't think that's how the Bruja clan works, and I know little to fuck all about vampire.
And that's a rabbit hole that I don't feel like going down.
Okay.
I don't know shit about it, and I don't want to know shit about it.
All right.
That's a mistake.
In the wiki it says, quick to anger and always passionate in the modern knights. They have been regaining their position as a clan of lofty philosophers and activists, and are often pointed as a clan of unruly rebels and roughnecks that should not be messed with. Let's see. Organization. As a clan, the Bruja have next to no organization. Outside the clan, the Bruja adore building structures, and then other Bruja adore tearing them down.
Wait, hold on. Omaha. Is clan spelled with a C or a K?
C.
Thank God.
Among modern Bruja, the primary structure is the division between the iconoclast and the idealist factions of society. The iconoclasts are rebels and almost uniformly young Bruja. They fulfill the clan's stereotypical image as mad, bad, and dangerous to know. In contrast to the iconoclasts, the idealists are the intellectuals and theorists of the clan. They're usually elders or ancillae, and the elders are idealists simply because their habits haven't changed since their embrace. So
hold on. Clan, elders.
So basically, this is
thrown around so willy-nilly.
Yeah, and the Bruja followed the Olympian ideal. Not so.
Oh, goodness.
So that makes the argument even less viable.
Yeah, it's a half truth at best.
Yep.
Yeah, this is. Oh, good.
To ascribe these type of traits to somebody is intended to demean their message by denigrating the person who speaks it. So, well, that's how the new White Wolf views the Bruja clan. No, that's how you view it. Even so, at this point, it could still be read as being a total coincidence. White Wolf claimed that the term triggered clearly meant something different over in Europe. It doesn't.
Oh,
I'm
triggered.
European.
Drink.
First, for whether or not it means something different in Europe is inconsequential, because that term isn't used to describe their flaw. Their flaw is frenzy, which is not the same thing. And that their intention with creating a pedophile character was simply an attempt to establish a mature horror tone for their game. An excuse so cringe-inducingly poor and without admission of culpability that I was left wondering if the game had been accidentally handed to the developer's 12-year-old cousin instead.
That's rich. That's rich. This idiot talking about cringe.
All right.
Oh, wow.
Chapter 3, kicking your old friends to the curb. Okay, here's where Here's where we're getting it.
How close are we to the end of this? Because I want to know how long it's going to take me to die from alcohol poisoning.
We're about halfway, it seems, according to the
word.
I'm dead. I'm going to die tonight, guys.
So let's talk about creating mature content. Doku, I will inform your next of kin.
Thank you.
What
does that mean? When you create something that you want to have an impact and push boundaries, you often label it as mature. Early White Wolf products often bore this label for mature minds. It was like a lot of White Wolf's early products, utterly pretentious and served only for marketing. Well, you'd know a thing or two about pretension.
Yeah,
that was, for the most part, early White Wolf marketed their games primarily for teenagers who wanted to feel edgy and grown up. Then why is there such a prevalent LARPing community with Vampire? Especially given some of the stories that Nurgle has told, even though I've argued with him because Nurgle has low standards.
Melina.
That's the exception, but he's still dead. He's still dead wrong on the Anita question.
Oh God. Oh,
we're not going there. We're not going there tonight. But I have to get my digs in.
Nurgle.
That is not to say that early White Wolf had nothing genuinely mature in their work. There certainly came over time to realize that content warnings were not simply preferable, but a means of showing respect for your audience. When early White Wolf decided to put out a product that was liable to be truly controversial, it was published under their Black Dog imprint. Most of the books published for it were pure all rubbish. I doubt that. But one book, Carnal Houses of Europe, the Shoah, was respectful and historically well-researched, a rarity for White Wolf at any time. Geez, this guy's a smug prick. Look at the horrors of Germany's concentration camps.
Drink!
The term Shoah is a Jewish term for the Holocaust, and perhaps unsurprisingly, a modern...
Also Holocaust drink.
Yep. And perhaps unsurprisingly, a modern online neo-Nazi podcast is infamously called The Daily Shoah.
Neo-Nazi drink.
Drink!
Yep. When asked if they would have considered a content warning for alpha release, White Wolf mocked the idea of content warnings at all. Naturally, it will come as no surprise to many of you that modern neo-Nazis also despise the concept of content warnings.
Okeechobee.
So we're going with the spooky language argument, huh?
Okeechobee. Well, that reminds me of two situations. Equilibrium, and the PMRC.
And Aaron, real quick.
Yo.
Nazi.
Drink.
This was a mistake.
Jesus
this was a
Christ.
fucking horrible mistake.
Oh my word.
Doku, if I ever see you, I'll have to buy you a 6-pack as recompense.
Oh my. You're gonna have to buy him a whole bar at this rate.
I'm already having to go out to grab another beer because we're on beer number 7, guys.
Oh God.
Boy. Oh boy.
You're going for the Andre the Giant record here?
Yes.
Hey, I hold true to my word. I said I was gonna drink every time I heard an SJW buzzword, and I'm regretting it.
You're fucking paying for that now.
Oh my God.
Hey, Mildred warned me, and I didn't listen.
Help. Well, that's okay. If you rescind that pledge, we won't fault you.
Hey, you know what? I got some good Scotch-Irish blood in me, so I think I can make it through this.
Yeah, I think you're
terrible cancer that Mildred has presented us with.
Well, say when.
It should be strongly noted that the founder of White Wolf, Mark Rein-Hagen, was no longer with the company when Charnel Houses of Europe, the Shoah, was created. I'll explain my thoughts on his input soon. Now, you're probably going to bury him like you bury everybody else.
God damn.
But personally, the single most mature and boundary-pushing thing that old White Wolf ever did, if we want to look at things that actually had a real impact on the gaming hobby as a whole, was not to presume a masculine gender when discussing the player's character.
Drink.
Oh, here we go.
Drink.
Get me my keg.
Yes.
Let's see. Gender is a massive subject in the neo-Nazi disclosure at the moment.
Double
no,
drink.
It's fucking not. We currently live in a time in which trans people are receiving more recognition and representation.
And actually,
we're living in a time where trans trenders are receiving too much recognition and representation, and anybody who doesn't follow that is being no platformed.
Well,
does trans people count? Does trans people count as drink? Is that a buzzword?
I don't know.
Pass.
Yeah, and besides, well, the only good thing is at least we're seeing some transsexuals being sane and actually hot. Well, that's another subject, though.
I've seen a lot of trans people getting real pissed off at SJWs, but again, different topic of conversation.
Historical old White Wolf were fairly ahead of their time in relation to this. Many of the characters that they included in their games were openly on the LGBTQ plus spectrum.
Okay, that's a drink.
Yep.
All right, guys.
This is
beer number 8.
This is not always handled in the best
bitch.
This is not always handled in the best
beers.
Often it was done in a clumsy manner or were rather cringe-inducing, but the intention was still there, and there was a recognition that LGBTQ plus people were in the market that was interested in buying it or playing their games.
Son of a bitch. This is not okay. I am regretting this decision.
Like
this
I said,
is not a good drinking game.
Say when.
I'm not giving up. I'm gonna keep drinking, but I'm gonna regret it.
It's a bit outside the scope of this article to explain why representation of minority groups matter.
Does that count as a drink?
Oh, that's a drink.
Yeah,
and
fucking
drink twice because 1 for representation and 2, he links a Huffington fucking Post article.
Oh my God. Huffington Post.
Suffice to say that old White Wolf tries, not always successfully, to do their part for this. Many of the writers that did so went on to form Onyx Path. Yeah, remember those guys from 2 weeks ago?
Oh, yeah.
Neo-Nazis, though, hate representation.
Drink,
as it reminds them that others exist. Trans people are labeled as sexual deviancy by many outspoken alt-right figureheads. Those who do their part to speak up for equality or positive representation are dismissed or mocked as social justice warriors.
Double drink.
Okay, that's definitely a drink.
Well, have you ever heard the expression if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, and quacks?
It's a witch.
Yep.
Jesus Christ, I'm going to end up going through a 12-pack of beer just because of this article alone.
Yeah, but Onyx Path, now I can see why they fucked up. full of a bunch of fucking ham and eggers.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
I should have taken Mildred's warning. This was a bad idea.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, I sort of felt sorry for the creators of who got bilked out of that shit. But you know what? Considering how it turns out they're praising Onyx Path to the moon despite all that. You know what? Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Yep. He goes, this is a screenshot of the reviews left on the ready-made characters for the Changeling the Dreaming 20th Anniversary Edition, published by Onyx Path. Now, I want to make clear, Changeling the Dreaming itself is not a bad game. But the 20th anniversary version, much like the 20th anniversary version of Mage and Masquerade, had creative edits by the teams, and they're generally considered inferior products. A bit of context: these ready-made character packs are not big products. They're barely even books, and they sell poorly at the best of times. Well, that's because character packs aren't really up for sale. That's because there are very few situations in which gamers need ready-made characters that their respective GM is not already made, often to better fit the adventure that is planned. This product is basically the tangerine in the Christmas stocking. Nobody would care about it, and most gamers would simply leave it to one side. I don't completely agree. I do think that there is a place for those sort of characters, especially when you're running at conventions.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, let me see. Let me see if I can. I'm gonna new tab this. so we can see what it actually says, because there are two reviews, both of them 1 stars. Andres S. Apologies if I mispronounced it. I felt like I was reading a caricature of some social justice RPG made by Paul. But the fact the writers were serious about it makes it only worse. I regret every cent put into it. It looks like it goes further on, but I'm not going to read into that. He goes, the very idea that you have a changeling character who is a transgender dictating their preferred pronouns, that you have sample monsters from the dreaming like the microaggressions, the patriarchy, the gender binary. I find that so ridiculous, and it goes on. I'm not going to read their full articles because that's not the point. But the fact that those are the 2 ones, and there's only 1 discussion on this. Maybe sometime down the line we'll look at the 20th anniversary versions and read some of the reviews tearing it a new one.
I bet you that discussion got memory hold.
Oh, and this is something interesting that I've always wanted to bring up. When it comes to specifically games like D&D, not necessarily Warhammer, where there's, a solid lore that's been put in place, or Magic the Gathering, but, things like D&D. When you really start trying to push people into essentially a cubbyhole, they don't like it. That's not the point of the game. The point of the game is I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Well, the thing is, when you're designing a game, you have to design it for as many possibilities as you can. You have to take into account as many play styles and the like as up to a point, obviously. But when you try and force it into a certain way, that's going to ultimately hurt it, because not everybody's going to use your game that way.
And that's kind of what I'm alluding to is, if you want to be a transgender goblin that's coming from, Mordor, that jumped through a fucking volcano and found themselves in an alternate universe, you can twist the game to where that's an actual possibility. And no one really gives 2 flying fucks about your identity politics. They don't give a shit about your sexuality, your ethnicity, your origin. No one gives a shit about that. It's just, how do you fit in the universe and how does it make sense? Mm-hmm. But it's we need to be accepting to everyone. And this is something that I said earlier to someone I was talking to literally today. The big problem that the geek or the nerd, the geekdom community has is the fact that, for the most part, we've always been social outcasts or socially uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So whenever somebody wants to engage with us or, play a game of D&D or play a game of Warhammer 40,000 or play Magic the Gathering or whatever, we're very, very accepting of them, because it's like, oh, hey, look, I have a friend. That dates back to, the 80s and the 90s.
Which is why the push to make things more open, quote unquote, is a bit ironic.
And
that's the thing. We've always, our community, and I say our community, it means anyone who has been a fan of geek culture. And it doesn't have to do with your sexuality, your race, your gender, or whatever. We don't give a fuck about that. No one gives a shit. You enjoy this? Yeah, guess what? I'm a fan of that too. Let's sit down and play a game. Like, let's enjoy ourselves. Let's have fun. Like, we've never been fucking discriminatory at all. But that also has opened up this particular community, specifically, comics, card games, tabletop gaming, etc., to individuals who will come in because now it's popular, and they use it as a sounding board because now it is fucking popular. And now all of a sudden, apparently, we're racist, sexist, misogynist, hatist. You hate everything. And
yeah, like I said, they've become the
ridiculous.
They've become the goddamn big bad wolf. All of a sudden, they're trying to blow our fucking houses down.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now moving
really
on.
Fucking irritating.
Moving on. He goes, however, in this situation, it has been downvoted and left negative reviews. The reason, well, it has one trans character, and to the alt-right, that's reason enough for the spurious, hyperbolic reactions it has received here. Glass houses, motherfucker.
Blasphemy.
As mentioned, this product wouldn't even turn an eye otherwise. In old White Wolf products, it wouldn't have caused the reader to bat an eyelid. I don't know. I think people would have called it out regardless, because when you make a bad character, that is timeless.
Wait, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there, I don't know if it was D&D, but wasn't there a character that was an amphibian that was essentially a gender swapper?
Could have been.
I'm pretty sure there was. So it's like, this has been a thing for like 30 years. No one gave a shit. It just added a different play dynamic to the game. So I'm willing to bet money this was never actually a thing. If somebody knows what I'm talking about, please tell me, because I'm pretty sure there was. I'll bet you money.
All right. By the way, I checked on DriveThruRPG. Those two reviews, not memory hold.
Oh.
They're still there, and there's two more reviews that are one is trying to go full shill, and the other one is positive but doesn't seem to be full on shill. Anyway, because the inclusion of trans characters is a hot button issue for members of the alt-right and their affiliates and supporters. Fans of White Wolf who are of that political alignment have been certain to follow a call to action in leaving poor reviews on an otherwise unassuming and irrelevant product. If it's irrelevant, why are you talking about it?
Yeah, and it's not a call to freaking action. It's just people took a look and said, "Oh, let's check out this game," and it's full of fucking buzzwords like, "Ugh, what the hell did I just read?"
Right. Chapter 4: Selecting your party's hosts. At this point, I want to travel back in time by several months, back before the release of the alpha playtest. After all, the statement that White Wolf are marketing the 5th edition of one of my all-time favorite games to fucking Nazis is a huge statement.
Drink.
And one that can't be made without more evidence than that. We need to truly examine the wider context of this, both in terms of what came before the alpha playtest and what came after. I feel like all right then, try it. Let's see this evidence. I feel like I may as well go full Godot with this if he's going to bring out his evidence.
Yeah.
In February 2017, the first Vampire the Masquerade mobile phone app was released, titled We Eat Blood and All Our Friends Are Dead. No, really. Oh, geez, I'm going to need a drink to continue with all this. Really? That's your title? Can we just, not? Can we just, not? Oh, my God. Fuck my life. No, thank you. No, thank you. The only fucking you're doing is fucking with my head with all this shit.
Yeah.
Well, this app was primarily written by Zach Sabbath and Sarah Horrocks, and we kind of need to talk about Zach S. We need to talk about him a lot. Okay, for those of you who don't know, Zach S. is the frontman of D&D with Porn Stars. I don't particularly care for him. I think he's kind of an asshole, but and he's a classic grognard, but he is not a Kool-Aid guy. He's just kind of a dickhead. Let's see. It says Zach rose to infamy in the gaming community due to his behavior that he undertook as part of the Gamergate movement. Start
Drink.
fucking chugging.
Drink time. Yes.
Oh, son of a
For
bitch.
those unfamiliar, Gamergate was an online movement that was primarily a reactionary response to growing critical analysis in the gaming medium, often by female voices. For many,
Drink.
smokescreened the intention of the movement as a means of expressing concern over the validity of gaming journalism. However, because many of the targets of concern were women, the movement quickly became publicly recognized for just what it was: a cover
Yeah,
for
that's
male
a drink.
voices within the gaming sphere to attempt to silence female voices who are critical of certain aspects of the community's more sexist sides. Hey, I got a
Drink.
That's a
video!
drink. That's definitely a fucking drink.
Yep. For the most part, these attempts to silence female voices occurred by means of death and rape threats and targeted harassment. Those are their favorite fucking words.
Drink a lot.
Jeez, I feel like I'm gonna be in Kendrick's swimming pools video by the end of this.
That's
Yeah,
a
really.
chug. That's not even a drink. That's a fucking
Oh my
chug.
god. And also. And the world's smallest violin for this idiot.
Jesus. I'm gonna be dead by the end of this.
Mm-hmm. And he goes, Zach was very busy during Gamergate. Very, very busy. Among several public and high-profile
Gamergate.
instances
Gamergate, that's drink.
of
Yep.
threats towards women, citation needed.
Women.
Drink.
Drink.
Zach also targeted members of the Onyx Path publishing group. Onyx Path, I'm sure many of you who are up to speed with events in the gaming sphere will know, were previously responsible for publishing World of Darkness products that include the 20th anniversary version of Vampire the Masquerade. One victim, a trans woman, because of course they'd target a trans woman, wouldn't they?
Trans woman,
Drink.
that's a drink. I need a
Drink.
fucking beer.
Reported,
Jesus.
I received an email rerouted from the UAE, which featured a photo of my child's school and a number of very specific threats. They referenced things he said about me, which were not true, and at the time, he lived some 20 minutes from me. If that did happen, that sucks. But at the same time, how do you know that was from Zach and not somebody else? Just because that was involved with it doesn't mean that he specifically did it. The guy who sent death threats to Sid Alpha over him criticizing Star Citizen, you don't see him going to Chris Roberts and drilling him about it. No. And he goes, with the license for Vampire the Masquerade was lifted from Onyx Path and given to White Wolf by the company's new owner, White Wolf had a choice to make. How should they handle Onyx Path, the company that had kept the license alive in the interim years, a company that was made up of former White Wolf employees? Well, for a start, their lead developer, Martin Erickson, could always go on to describe their work in a public statement as a failure. That's a good way to burn bridges. Well, that's because it was. Did you not pay attention to the exposure thing?
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say that Onyx Path does not know how to do business.
Yeah, no shit.
Then they could hire
Has
Zach
Star
S.
Citizen actually been burnt to the ground?
Yeah.
And last I checked, they're still doing pretty good.
Well, I'm using that as I use that as a corollary example when it comes to handling death threats.
Yeah, and you know what's funny about all this? It seems to me you mentioned Onyx Path and Channel Awesome. This is pretty much almost identical trajectory as them. They start drinking the fucking social justice Kool-Aid, and now they're getting pound me too'd out of existence.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, then he goes. Then they could hire Zach S. That's certainly a good way to ensure that people who are generally not okay with people being sent death threats will be on your side. And you could always, I suppose, finish it off by responding when people call you out by simply saying, White Wolf's investigation concluded that the accusations are false, and that Zach did not engage in the alleged behavior, like White Wolf did. Well,
He didn't do nothing.
If she's claiming that she has that email, she could have just as easily submitted that. But if their investigation didn't find anything, either A, take it to the courts, or B, shut up.
And C, we ain't getting involved.
Mm-hmm. Zach kept a fucking blog of what he did. Yeah, he did. And it's still available online. That documents that Zach S. did, in fact, engage in the alleged behavior. If that's the case, why do you have to use the term alleged? But let's put allegations to one side for a moment and just consider the press release that White Wolf released here. It is, even in this day and age, extremely uncommon for a company to make a public statement on matters such as this, especially one which they approached a highly politicized issue and take a specific side to it. The general style of press releases in this sort of situation tend to be phrased in such a manner as to ensure the company making the statement is not throwing their hat into the political spectrum. Except they didn't. They said, we did an investigation, we found that there wasn't any evidence, end of story. That's not politics. This is generally because if such issues escalate and legal conflict ensues, the company cannot be held liable. In this case, White Wolf chose to do so. They chose to select the side in this manner, and that's extremely telling.
Oh my god!
In other words,
RPG.net thread, which is not evidence.
Yeah, exactly. They did a little something called I forgot what it's called. Due process.
Mm-hmm. So why would White Wolf choose to hire someone like that? Why would they choose to respond to criticism for the decision like that? Well, there is the little point that fascists really, really loved Gamergate. Oh, we're going here now. To fascists, it was a fight against globalists, against progressives, a chance to beat down on those weaker than you who dared to get out of their place.
Progression and projection.
A lot of young
fascists and globalists. That's drink.
A lot of young, insecure men got very angry at Gamergate, afraid of losing a bunch of their hobby space to women who are critical of their hobby and wanted to change it. Fascism feeds on angry young men.
Drink. And another thing, it wasn't that. It's just these dumbass outrage merchants were trying to invade, trying to kick them out of their fucking hobby. And people, you think anyone's gonna take that line down? Of course not.
Yep. And hello, Diobot. Welcome to the shit show.
Oh, come on down, my friend, to the show that never ends. We're so glad you attend. Come inside.
Yep.
God.
And he goes, and yes, I've linked to a lot of RPG.net threads in this section. Let me just state for the record that RPG.net forums are a fucking shit show. If you have any opinion that is even 1 inch away from the left, you get permabanned.
Yep.
And then he links another one.
Basically like NeoGAF.
Yeah. Zach was at one time very active on the RPG.net forums. His behavior is extremely well documented. I'd advise reading them. It includes documentation of the harassment campaigns he has engaged in, comments by his victims, and further instances of abuse by his supporters, and reactions by the gaming community. I have read every single one of those articles I read those articles as they happened, and most of that shit is hearsay.
Yeah, it's more like some guy calling them out on their bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron, that's the drink right there.
Yep.
That's a drink. No matter what way you fucking cut it.
That's right.
Ugh.
Okay, so the past doesn't look too good. White Wolf did some really bad stuff. I think we can all agree. White Wolf has done some bad stuff, but not the bad stuff that you're implying here.
Yeah, they didn't do nothing.
But maybe they learned from it. Maybe they're intending to shift gears and move into a better position. Let's see what happened after the alpha playtest. Jumping forward to November 2017, I received big news. You see, for the last few years, I had the founder and original developer of Vampire the Masquerade sitting on my Facebook friends list. Oh, I see where we're going with this. Mark Greenhagen is a game developer who came up with the original World of Darkness and began original White Wolf way back in the 90s. He left the company shortly after finishing 5 game lines for the product, and the version of Vampire the Masquerade that I enjoyed was certainly built more by those who came after him than by Mark himself. Mark is also a fairly contentious person, to put it politely. but I was one of the first to be there to notice a big announcement to be made, namely that he had been hired by White Wolf 2. I wasn't sure what to think. I think he's getting triggered. Perhaps, I reasoned, he would be able to rein them in, give them a few pointers on how to interact with their fan base in a way that didn't make so many of us. There's no us. There's just you. Feel as though we were no longer who they wanted to target their game towards. Basically, I had a bit of hope, and of course, it wasn't as if he was going to do anything silly.
Oklahoma. So basically, what he's suggesting is to follow the Ryan Johnson in guide to dealing with fandom.
All right, and let's see what his comment was here. Let me see if I can zoom in on this. Yeah, it's cut off, so I can't read the full comment. But he says, "Nazis are a problem. Killing them would make a much bigger problem." Actually, no drink because this is from Mark.
Okay. Cool.
Peacefully letting them beat your ass would end their influence if you just had the courage to let them. Just trust that.
Sorry, Mildred. That comment is worthy of a drink.
Yeah. Just trust that most people are good and decent and fear Nazi fucks and support people standing up to them as they... And I can't read the rest of it. Whoa, that wasn't part of the plan. Okay, there we go. I think you can guess how this turned out. Mark Rein-Hagen comments on the neo-Nazis at the Charlottesville rally by saying that the real danger was not the growth of violent Nazi ideologues, but the number of youth who were taking a stand to oppose that. Rein-Hagen dubbed these youths as communists and proceeded to focus almost exclusively on criticizing those who fought against Nazis.
Drink, and rightly so.
No, he went on to tell people on his Facebook that the best way to deal with Nazis is through submission and nonviolence. So essentially, he's taking the Gandhi route, and it sounds like the author here is butthurt that Rein-Hagen did not go with his Kool-Aid, that he was actually seeing reason.
Actually, I think Rein-Hagen was basically saying, you know what? Don't pay attention to these spurgs.
Mm-hmm. The author goes, "This was a phenomenally bad idea. Naturally, people attempted to explain to him why it was a repulsive thing to say, explaining that it was the Nazis and not those who were fighting against them that had murdered a young woman at the rally."
Son of a bitch.
I don't think that was the case. It's been a while since Charlottesville, but I think
like the guy was actually scared off, and he actually probably ran into someone. I don't know. You know what I mean?
I won beer number 12 by fucking hell. Not okay. This was a fucking bad idea.
On a Sunday of all days.
I keep my word, but damn it.
God rested on Sunday. Okay. We don't.
I'm not okay with this.
And he goes, people explained to him that the average youngster who was taking a stand against fascism had no legitimate interest in communism, but were acting against neo-Nazis. Some even attempted to explain to him the most complicated aspect of this, that by focusing his spotlight on counter-protesters at a neo-Nazi rally,
son of a bitch,
to blame them for the violent outbreaks that the Nazi attendees had caused, and by means of doing so, exonerate them from guilt. Donald Trump received the exact same level of criticism for his comments following the rally. His comments were basically that this was the infamous many sides thing, I think is what he's going with. Yeah. And just like then, people demanded that Rein-Hagen commit to a statement decrying Nazis.
God damn it. I need a new beer now. What the fuck?
Instead,
I'm literally on beer number fucking 14.
This motherfucker. Son of a bitch. This is not cool. This is not okay.
You're gonna have one hell of a hangover, my man.
I never get hangovers. I can say that much. I don't get hangovers, but damn, I'm gonna be drunk as shit when I wake up tomorrow. This is not cool.
Blame it on Mondays if anybody asks.
Oh,
All
motherfucker.
of those people who responded, they were insulted and summarily blocked by Mark from his Facebook page.
Rightly, yeah, I can't really blame him for that one. When you got a bunch of scumbag progressives bitching about, oh, you're Nazi. He's like, fuck you, get out of here.
Yep. As the weeks went on, his post continues to lash out, blaming left-wing wackos for a fire at Trump Tower. And remember, Nazis hate leftists.
God,
More recently, Mark
Son of a
Reinhagen has taken to writing massive screeds about why he thinks social justice warriors are ruining gaming.
And he's not wrong.
Remember how that buzzword is used by fascists?
Oklahoma,
Go.
drink.
Drink.
Damn it.
But Reinhagen, I'm interested to read that article. Someone find that one.
Yep. It's probably buried in his Facebook, but maybe I should follow him on Facebook.
Same here.
I feel like I'd have some fun with that. He goes, and telling a woman she shouldn't be playing vampire because as a rape survivor, she's too sensitive for horror gaming. You know, I get the feeling there was a lot more that he said than that, but I can honestly say that if somebody had gone through that kind of trauma, I would not put them in front of a horror game. Because I'm not a dick.
Yeah, I would basically say I think he was taking more of the approach to say, play at your own risk, my friend.
Hang on. Because DL's asking for DLbot is asking an explanation for the drinking joke. Basically, anytime we hear any sort of social justice buzzword in this article, we drink. We are probably going to cause a liquor shortage by the end of this.
It was a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Anyway, he goes, in short, those with neo-Nazi ideologues were given a lot of reason to like Reinhagen because of some of the things that he said.
I heard neo-Nazi.
Yep. It's hard to say if Mark Reinhagen had the same personal biases and prejudices way back in the early 90s when he founded White Wolf. Okay, this guy's a nostalgia tard. It was a different time, very much pre-internet and without social media. What we can see, though, is that a lot of early White Wolf products tended to include very troubling depictions of race. Books like World of Darkness, Gypsies, which was universally panned for its crass, ridiculous, and heavy use of stereotypes and blatantly complete utter bollocks, were written while Mike Reinhagen was at the helm.
Wasn't he Eastern European?
I will have to check. I will have to check actual reviews at the time and currently regarding that book because I get the feeling it was not as panned as he claims. Let's not beat around the bush. Early White Wolf under Mark's supervision had some real problems with depicting race. Well, you're one to talk. In the game in a mirror universe version of the real world, the idea of having different fantasy races was reinterpreted. Instead, characters would have different clans or tribes or traditions. Many of these would be based on real-world racial groups, like the Fianna, werewolves descended from an Irish ancestry. They would intermingle with werewolves descended from indigenous American natives, like the Wendigo, werewolves descended from Russian nobility, like the Silver Fang, werewolves descended from Aboriginal Australians, like the Bunyip, which did not end well for them. And
hold up. Say that again.
Which part?
Yeah, the part about the Wendigo.
From indigenous American natives that's his words.
In relation to what?
That the Wendigo is implied here as werewolves descended from indigenous American natives.
In other words, Indians.
Wrong. That is fucking wrong. That is, oh no. Whoever the fuck wrote this article, you're wrong as shit.
Yeah, now he failed at history and folklore.
Now I'm actually fucking legitimately pissed because I have Shoshone and Winnebago in my fucking bloodline. Wendigos have nothing to do with fucking werewolves, you stupid fucking shit.
Oh boy.
All right,
Wendigo has nothing to do with being a fucking werewolf. That is fucking wrong on so many different fucking levels. Go fuck yourself, you stupid idiot.
Yeah, definitely
Now-
a folklore
now
botch.
Now, the Wendigo proper do in Werewolf the Apocalypse do have some allusions to Native Americans, but the approach that he's taking is very much a
He's talking about a
stretch.
skinwalker. He's talking about a skinwalker. He's not talking about a Wendigo.
Yeah.
A Wendigo and a skinwalker are not the same thing. A Wendigo is essentially a shaman. And it's essentially someone that has taken on the form of an animal and basically is going to kill you.
Yeah, Doku, I will link you the wiki article for the whole thing. So you can. We're not going to go into that tonight. It's just something to take into account.
I just got your link.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm not going to go into it either, but as someone who is Shoshonian Winnebago, not much, but enough to be irritated to hear that statement.
Oh my word.
My great-grandfather's last name is, ironically enough, Lightfoot.
Mm-hmm.
But that irritates the ever-living hell out of me.
Let's see. Then he goes, and werewolves descended from homeless people like the Bone Gnawers. Wait, homeless people are a different race now? Except it's not a. If that's the case, clearly they don't know the whole culture of beggars that's seen in the Middle East and in India.
And speaking of the Middle East, this has come from the same group of idiots that think Islam is a race.
Yep. Anyway, now between you and me, it didn't work like that. Okay, then you just wasted my fucking time with that diatribe. The correspondence between your character's archetype and racial heritage was never all that set. It was played fast and loose, for obvious reasons, meaning that your follower of set didn't technically have to be Egyptian and so on. Well, your type seems to want that. But the parallels were there, and they were there very strongly in some places. So much so that when the Ravnos, a vampires clan whose only contribution to the game were to be bad stereotypes of the Rom people, were wiped out and removed from the game's setting, very few players felt a twinge of regret. The same, sadly, cannot be said for the Assamite, an entire clan composed of extremist Muslim assassins.
Speaking of Islam, drink!
Oh, son of a bitch.
The idea of vampires descended from Hassan Isaba's teachings, that is not inherently a bad thing. And I think that's the intent that was made. I don't think the intent was haha Muslim or something like that.
Yeah, really.
Oh, you want to know one of the most ironic things about all of this? Since we're talking about we were talking about Wendigos. When you look at Asian culture, Middle Eastern culture, Native American culture, there's always pseudo-anthropomorphic, werewolf, lichen-esque, monsters, so to speak. It's not unique to any specific culture. You can find many different examples of essentially an anthropomorphic, I'm going to rip your goddamn throat out monster, regardless of what culture you look at. It's not unique.
And I'd say with the popularity of Assassin's Creed among some circles, I would be perfectly fine with somebody wanting to do a vampire who is an Assamite. Like in fact, I would probably use, if somebody's a fan of those games, I would probably use that to bring them into trying out vampire. Because that's
the thing I want to see is I want to see a Tengu, like a legitimate Tengu character. That's just.
We'll put that on the shelf for now. And he goes, but even so, while later editions of the game tried to erase as much of the damage that Mark Reinhagen's questionable attitude to racial representation had done, well, you want representation, he gave it to you. What are you complaining about? And push forward. White Wolf were glad to have the man back on board to see what else he could contribute.
Geez, there's your fucking entitlement there, right? Yeah, we gave this group some freaking representation, but then you still bitch about it.
Mm-hmm. It's chapter 5. Make your scream loud enough for all to hear. You ain't Black Canary. Stop trying.
Oh my god! I'm getting the image of the freaking gender confused. It's Pat looking motherfucker from the Trump inauguration screaming to the sky.
You know, if you listen close on a cool August night, she's still screaming.
Ah, yes.
And he goes, and once more, this could simply be a lot of smoke. It is. Stay off the weed.
No, this ain't weed. This is the wet talking.
Yeah. This is why you stay out of Hunter S. Thompson's stash.
Yep.
Anyways, he goes, but I would argue that there is rarely smoke without fire. Well, that's because you're a fucking arsonist in that case. At this point, we have seen White Wolf bringing in people who have whose personal attitudes and behaviors have drawn the appeal and interest of those with neo-Nazi and fascist ideologues.
Drink twice.
According to somebody who's clearly a fucking commie. We have seen them market a game in which people are imbued with supernatural finesse simply by the power of their heritage, are treated as the underdog in a massive narrative of shadow wars. That's not too far removed from how World of Darkness has always been. Mm-hmm. Appealing to the wish fulfillment of racists who dream of throwing down globalist Jews and their communist allies.
Drink.
We have seen White Wolf use specifically chosen language to appeal to that target demographic, speaking to them in their own internet tongue. Meanwhile, your tongue is hanging out of desperation. Yeah. We have seen them dishonestly condone the harassment and targeting of minority groups. We have witnessed them do so with utter and complete intent, with zero admissions of culpability for their wrongdoings and total conviction to push ahead with their dedication to their demographic.
Man, he's grasping at so many straws he could build a fucking house at this point.
May I take a moment to say how much I hate this royal we that he's pulling, as if everybody who's reading this article automatically agrees with him.
The royal we, yeah, we meaning you and his cult.
And anyway, hang on, I need to go back to the page. The bulk of this article, this expose, was written before July of 2018. Most recently, though, White Wolf had begun to release excerpts of the, at the time, upcoming 5th edition rulebook. As of writing, it appears that the much-maligned Brujah clan has experienced yet another shift in tone and write-up. Specifically, White Wolf describes them as such. And I'm going to tab that so we can read it in full. The quote from the book: while the Brujah clan definitely includes substantial numbers of vocal and visible outsiders, their desire for rebellion reaches as deep as the fraudster ripping off his own company, the lawyer representing the poor pro bono, the neo-Nazi claiming to be alt-right, and the basement dweller downloading thousands of movies illegally for distribution on streaming sites.
Oh yeah, you just said alt-right, so...
Yeah, but the bit about the fraudster ripping off his own company. I wonder if he's talking about anyone over at Onyx.
Possibly. That might be a little straight, because after taking a short break to catch my breath from the screaming at my monitor that this site had instilled within me. Oh, yep.
Autistic screeching.
We are going full on re.
Yes.
And going for a long walk before returning to read it again. I'll take shit that happened. I'll take shit that never happened for 500, Alex.
Mine we must.
Oh, Lord.
And going for a long walk before returning to read it again in disbelief, despite the fact that he looks like somebody whose form of aerobic exercise begins and ends with blinking.
Yeah, stretching the truth and jumping to conclusions.
Began to work updating this article. The defense that a bunch of white wolf edgelords offered is their usual beating cry of, the game is meant to be horror and you play as a monster, along with attempts to disavow the alt-right sentiment, rang as very instant. So if you replaced alt-right with original sin, I think it would speak volumes about this guy.
Yeah.
Once more, as with the reaction that they received from their choice to frame a character as a pedophile, the crutch of their response is not to show contrition, but to stand by the position that their game is meant to be horror and it's for mature minds. I've heard people reiterate several times in relation why it's defensible to play the game with a neo-Nazi character.
Drink.
Here then is my rebuttal.
Fucking A.
It is a stupid idea to want to play this game as a neo-Nazi character because no vampire would be that fucking stupid. It is not scary or horrific to do so because vampires are scarier than this. First off, since you're using that term for just about everybody who doesn't agree with you, the bar for what counts as that is so low I can't limbo under it, and I'm pretty flexible when it comes to limbo. Because vampires are evil on an entirely different spectrum from humans. They're immortal predators. Human concerns about race are juvenile, pubescent trivialities to me because humans are simply food. They view us the same way we view cattle. Do you care about the color of the fur on the cow that became your Sunday roast? You might. You look like you're familiar with cows. The idea of being a monstrous vampire isn't being a neo-Nazi skinhead.
Drink and cow, and by cows I don't mean for eating.
It's looking at images of battery farms. Picture city blocks of people being forced into warehouses, their legs broken so they can't run, strung up in cages to hang by their feet with taps jammed into their necks. That is what's monstrous and evil about vampires, that they don't care. Their humanity is fucking dead and gone. And we know that's the level of alien monstrousness that is the standard in this setting because that exact image has been used in the game before. In the Gehenna novel, when the end of the world comes around and there's no higher power to answer to and nothing to stop them, that's exactly what vampires fucking do. Round people up and chuck them into feeding warehouses like domestic cattle. That is terrifying. Being a neo-Nazi isn't terrifying, it's just shitty. If you were a vampire, being a neo-Nazi would be a trifling, puerile, childish, and juvenile concern. A concern that quite literally is of another species. You want a neo-Nazi vampire? Fine. The child goes to a Unite the Right rally, joins up with a gang of other far-right fucks.
Unite the Right, drink.
Whoa, yep, start chugging.
And chases several black families out of a poor part of town. 2 nights later, the local adventurer who had a claim to that poverty-stricken neighborhood hires 3 leg-breaker Nosferatu to stamp on the neo-Nazi's head until he turns to dust.
Drink in Oklahoma. Black people getting chased out of that town. I've been familiar with Chicago politics, and I remember a time when when Cabrini Green was full of fucking black folks. I wonder who chased them out. It wasn't neo-Nazis. It was the damn city government, which is run by neoliberals.
Really makes you think.
Yeah.
Anyways, he goes,
walk away.
Probably with a bunch of actual Bruja who weren't written as fucking neo-Nazi scum by a bunch of Swedish edgelords.
Drink.
But because someone that fucking stupid, chill dead, don't know what that is, was too much of a risk to the traditions.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he typo. That was a typo, man.
You spent 3 or so months on this thing, and you got that kind of typo. Jesus Christ, I'm a better editor than this guy. because someone was too much of a risk to the traditions that had been to have been embraced in the first place. That image of humans strung up in battery farm cages by the hundreds, that's what evil should be in fifth edition if a new White Wolf were serious about the game being about exploring evil and playing a monster. So in other words, this is a whine about he's not getting his way. Ironic, isn't it?
Oh, yes. And they talk about entitlement all the fucking time. And you know what? Yo, good projection there, buddy.
We know that because previous iterations had entire game systems in place to pose a conflict for the characters in falling that far, the humanity system. You know, that thing that was curiously absent from the playtest. From what I've seen, it seems that the humanity thing was integrated with hunger. But take that with a grain of salt, because keep in mind it's an alpha playtest. They're probably gonna test the humanity thing in a later form. And he goes, no, White Wolf don't care about exploring the idea of evil or encouraging you to play as true monsters. And releasing a statement telling people it's about the choice to play a monster is disingenuous at best and distraction from the real subject at hand, according to you. Which is why they outright said to neo-Nazis, hey guys, look, this here is a class you can play. We're calling you out by name so you know that this is a game for you. And look, you're not really bad guys, you're just rebels. Like the kids who download movies. If they're not bad guys, surely you're not, eh? Come on, buy our book. That wasn't the fucking point. The point was that people who are embraced as a Bruja tend to have a instinctive need to rebel, to lash out. That's all that it was, and the whole point of it was that it doesn't take just one form. And he goes,
yeah, thanks to this guy, I'm gonna have to go out and buy another fucking pack of fucking beer.
all right, let that sink in for a moment. White Wolf, a company that once challenged the presupposition of a male pronoun for their players in their books, has drawn an equivocation between neo-Nazis and movie pirates.
Drink, chug, in fact, because male pronoun, neo-Nazi, come on.
Yep.
It's not a word salad.
Monsters. It's a means to play as shitty, pathetic, abusive human beings. And I've been to vampire LARPs, and you can trust me when I say that your player base often has no need and help of doing that.
Vampire LARPs?
Kidding me?
Keep in mind, this is coming from a furry.
Don't remind me, please.
Oh my word!
Don't remind me.
Now,
what
I'm not. I should note for the sake of covering my ass, I'm not 100% on the furry part, but given the whole dog thing, it wouldn't surprise me at all. And given the argument that he's been making here, it still wouldn't come as a surprise. He goes, and yes, let's cover that White Wolf did give a placatory attempt to respond to the negative feedback that they received, disavowing the accusations that they are marketing their game towards neo-Nazis.
Drink.
I also have to cover that because we'll be unable to ever consider that such a statement may be made dishonestly. So here we go. 2 points that show that White Wolf's statement regarding this as irrelevant. And he goes, one, and let me see what. Okay, it's a YouTube link. I'm not going to do that. Says, it's not as if the alt-right, neo-Nazis, and their supporters and affiliates have never publicly disavowed their actions while continuing to support them subtextually or outside the public eye.
Drink!
In what amounts to years of context, including that documented here and outside of this page, we have utterly no reason to trust them. They have continually and over the course of many months given the same dog whistles.
Drink!
And made the same signal, only this time being more blatant. This is the third such time that the company has issued a public statement in which they have doubled down on things that people are telling them loudly are reprehensible.
Double down? Jesus.
First with Zach, then with their alpha, and now this. And that's before they even released a single product that they themselves have made. Where there's smoke, there is fire.
Jesus Christ. Double down? As if they don't do it themselves. Jesus.
Okay, I'm just very curious. When it comes to individuals who are like, I'm anthropomorphic. Like, oh, I'm into, an anime or something like, Spice and Wolf. That's one thing. And then you have your flat out, hardcore furries where it's like, I'm going to go out into society with a frickin', entire fursuit. Don't get me wrong, do whatever the fuck you want to do. I
Oh
don't
my
give a
god!
shit.
You know, New Deal Bot
Yeah,
2016.
I don't care.
I completely agree with you. You might as well sniff a couple lines for this one.
I would,
I've
but
always
the Miami Dolphins have cornered the market on that.
Yep.
But
Also,
I've always been curious. Do you really give a shit about someone who's just like in a full-on fursuit? Because don't get me wrong, to me it's a little creepy.
I have only taken issue with one thing and one thing only: the demand that I respect their lifestyle, because I do not respect anybody. You earn that shit.
well, look at it this way. At least all furriers are trying to make an attempt to make furry seem sane again, as if they were ever.
As far as I'm concerned, if you want to wear a fucking fursuit and go do whatever it is you do, you go do you. I don't give two shits. But
I swear to
please
God,
do not include me.
I swear to God, why can't they be like?
Not my thing.
Yeah, why can't they be like? Get paid for it by being sports mascots.
They can do whatever it is they want. I don't give a shit.
We're getting off track. Let's move on. He goes, so let's wrap this thing up, shall we?
Finally,
I started this article in the hopes of exposing by the means that while the new White Wolf company has consistently and with measurable intent strove to find a nice market for their game. They have aimed for the same market today as they did in the early 90s when their games were first produced. Disenfranchised young white men, people who believe
white men drink
to be of an above average level of intelligence, outsiders and people with strong views counter to contemporary culture. In the 90s, these were goths, punks, and others, like I was at the time. I think you probably got laughed out of the bar if that's the case.
Bullshit. Yeah, exactly.
No boy.
Today, it's the alt-right, it's neo-Nazis, incels, and MGTOWs. Fucking chug!
Son of a bitch. God damn it. Drink.
First off, I guarantee he knows absolutely nothing about incels.
Yeah. That's the new. I love that. That's the new go-to insult for anybody that's not a goddamn progressive.
Yeah,
and you know they just have to throw fucking incel into there. Oh my.
Well, look at this. Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Well, like Well, at least we're not creepers. They're always grabbing. They're always grabbing people. Like with just. Ugh. I'm surprised.
Anyways, he goes, do I think New White Wolf is run by Nazis? No.
Drink.
Well, you could have fucking fooled me.
Yeah, but he probably meant this. He's probably saying yes, because you know why he said no? Because he doesn't want to get sued.
This is a weasel word, and I think he actually got threatened that with suits. That's why he took this thing down. But like I said, the internet never forgets.
Yep.
Let's see. Do I think they're trying to court controversy in a juvenile and pubescent manner by marketing their game to Nazis? Fucking yes.
Drake.
I think so, because that is very clearly and based on their own actions what they are doing. According to you, who's been cutting this out of whole cloth. And the thing is, New White Wolf are losing the battle lines they have set up by doing this.
Bullshit.
A huge number of the fans that they had already when they went into the market now hate them. It's the link is some Tumblr blog. People who love Vampire the Masquerade are boycotting their products left and right. Because the boycott has such a wonderful track record of working, right?
Yeah, how about try go outside Tumblr and woke Twitter? Yeah, maybe they're boycotting, but I bet you they're selling like fucking hotcakes outside those realms.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Talent who work in the gaming industry look at them as being toxic. I find that hard to believe.
Bullshit.
Nobody wants to work with them. If that's the case, how did they get that fancy ass website for this project? Their reputation is down the drain, and they have issued public statements to justify their shitty actions multiple times over the course of only a few months, and they haven't even released their first product of their own yet.
They got such a vivid imagination. I'll give them that.
Let's see. When I began writing this expose, that's a stretch calling this that, I opened with a discussion of Rod Farrell, a murderer who held delusions of superiority over others and identified as a vampire.
Oh, here we
I
go.
prefaced that Farrell was an isolated, troubled, and angry young man who suffered from severe delusions. His headlines occurred almost 20 years ago. Today, they are an entirely new group of young, troubled, and angry young men. Young men who, like Rod Farrell, feel the urge to show their superiority over others. At the time of writing, we see these people act out on an almost weekly basis, with Alex Minassian, Nicholas Cruz, and Demetrios Pagortias becoming two more names to join an ever-growing list.
Drink because they mentioned their favorite targets.
Mm-hmm. Even more noticeable is that these young men are very politically aware. In the last decade, far-right extremism has accounted for 71% of extremist-related.
Another drink,
and they weren't even far right. Mm-hmm. They're just mentally disturbed.
Yep. With religious extremism at 26%, and despite what Mark Reinhagen would believe, far left extremism was a mere 3%.
According to who?
Let's see who his source is.
Yeah, let me guess.
Quartz.
Bullshit.
Who the fuck is that?
Oh, motherfucker.
Jesus H. Christ. Good
Even
God.
more noticeable is that these young men are very politically aware. In the last decade...
They weren't.
Oh, sorry. I went over that part, sorry. When Rod Farrell sought out others and discovered what he felt was a vampire lifestyle, he was looking for an outlet for his hatred. A group identity that would set him above others. Nowadays, with the growth of social media, young people who are in the exact same position as Farrell have the space to come together and find one another, just as he did, only without the mysticism and without the realm of vampires. They gravitate toward the next.
Oh my God! This is the same bullshit argument that was made 20 fucking years ago, and they're basically regurgitating that same fucking argument.
This is Satanic Panic 2.0.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. And yet, another fucking typo. White Wolf stated their determination to aim the 5th edition of Vampire the Masquerades toward discussing today's political landscape. I now see in full hindsight what they meant, who their target audience are, and who, as a company, they wish to speak to. And I only hope there's still enough time for another development team to take charge and move this game in a better direction. The green grass fallacy. Yep. Preferably before those of us who enjoy vampires, horror games, and the version of Vampire the Masquerade that we came to love and grew up with are forced to wake up one day with another Rod Farrell on our hands. Oh, fuck off.
Oh, bullshit. I mean, come on. You really think White Wolf's that stupid to freaking stab their goddamn fans in the back? Is that what he's trying to suggest?
It seems.
Fucking jag off.
Epilogue. So what can you do? Like many people, I don't want to support this game. To which I retort, like many people, I do.
Exactly. Many people, meaning everyone in this fucking sewing circle.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to support the company that is making this game and marketing it towards the already too fucking emboldened rising wave of neo-Nazis and alt-righters that exist out there.
Drink.
I want to do something language. But what can you do? For start, you can tell people. Yes, tell people. So that they can laugh at you.
Yeah, exactly.
Spread the word and get the voice out. People are doing this, and they've been doing this for years, and that's fantastic. Keep doing it.
Yes, keep spreading the salt.
Keep spreading the salt, because the more you spread the salt, the more people like us are going to laugh at it.
Yeah, and mine it too.
Second, you can make your opinion felt with your wallet. Bullshit. You're relying on a trust fund. like every other soy boy out there. You social justice warriors do not buy things. This has been demonstrated quite clearly. Look at fucking Marvel. The companies live and die by their profit margins, and if White Wolf recognized that marketing their game towards the worst that humanity has to offer is not a profitable venture, their parent company, Paradox Interactive, has the means to ensure that changes are made. However, if you're like me, you're a dyed-in-the-wool role player and just have to get your fix, there are a large number of other games that I would suggest instead of Vampire.
Bullshit!
Yep.
The dyed-in-the-wool my ass.
The Onyx Path crew, who have made the 20th anniversary versions of Vampire the Masquerade and its sister games, are in a horrible situation at the moment with White Wolf. They need your money to survive, but White Wolf has their intellectual property clause in deep. That means if you want to support them, you may find yourself in the same boat I did. Recognizing that buying games like Exalted or Changeling the Dreaming, as pro-LGBT as they have tended to be, will ultimately line White Wolf's pockets too.
So basically, support them because my diversity.
Yeah, support the games that screwed over that didn't pay the people who wrote them.
Exactly, and then while their fucking owner and Project League decided to go around the world in 80 fucking days.
Mm-hmm. As pro-LGBT as they have tended to be, will ultimately line White Wolf's pockets too. Onyx Path own the Trinity Continuum and Scion outright. If you're a fan of those, you can buy those without any ethical concerns. I have the Trinity Continuum in its original form. The Aeon, Aberrant, and Adventure. They had to call Aeon Trinity because they ran into legal trouble with the producers of Aeon Flux.
Wow, they love to just keep ripping off other fucking properties.
Well, the thing is, Aeon and Aeon Flux have absolutely nothing in common. So, but I suppose they could say, well, allow us to retort. At least we didn't make a shitty movie out of our own product. Let's see. And Scion, they're gonna fuck up second edition. That's currently still in Kickstarter. I am not touching it.
Oh boy, that's gonna be a Titanic disaster.
Let's see. At this point, however, the same does not apply to Exalted or any of the World of Darkness or Chronicles of Darkness lines. I would be willing to bet that within a few years they're going to take some of their old lines and say, you know what, those are ours back. Give them back. And since Onyx Path was set up as a publishing house, they have every right to do that.
It's only a matter of time for White Wolf. Yeah, I wouldn't blame White Wolf in the slightest, especially since this whole fucking debacle blew up in their face.
Yep. So you should support their own independent creator-owned games like Pugmire. Now, I do have Pugmire, and it is a good game, but I got it to support the people who made it, not these folks. And I'm not sure if they made a new edition of Pugmire, I'm not sure if I'd even get it. I'd also recommend Eclipse Phase. Eclipse Phase is actually a very good game, but comparing it to World of Darkness, there is no real comparison. Not to mention it's made, but it is made by a completely different company that is very aware of the modern internet age. So there's that. I was going to suggest Urban Shadows. Urban Shadows is a pretty good game, but I have some issues with I have some issues with Evil Hat Productions, because I still remember how they bullied out Grimm when it came to that card game he made, and they have a history of throwing their weight around. Because he brings up Sigmata, a game that
I've heard of that game. One of the assholes linked that shit to me. He'd say, "Oh, you would." Yeah, I think this motherfucker knew that I was doing sort of a tabletop game that pretty much isn't SJW friendly. So he probably sent that link to rub it all over their face.
At the very least, I can say that the games that I suggested to you for research purposes were not Kool-Aid.
Good. This one, yeah, you can tell that's Kool-Aid.
Um, and even apparently even Sigmata isn't Kool-Aid enough for him.
Really?
Yeah, since some of the options are anarcho-capitalists and white nationalists, so it might not be as social justicey as he thinks.
Yeah, and you know what? I've noticed? I think Doku just passed out. Because he's no longer here.
Oh God, I hope we didn't kill.
Oh my God.
I will probably have, everybody press F to pay respects to Doku.
Yes, yeah, I guess we're gonna I guess you might have to do a wellness check first thing in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. It ends with the new 7th edition of Call of Cthulhu is fantastic. Lovecraft was doing the whole thing of Lovecraft was racist. Yeah, he was. He was also fucking weird, and it was the 1920s. Exactly. And if all you can think about is him making racist remarks in the 1920s, you're a fucking idiot. And he goes, he says, he ends with in summary, I've been playing Vampire the Masquerade for over 25 years, bullshit, and have been supporting the developers for almost as long, bullshit. For the first time in my life, I no longer feel that doing so is in the best interest of myself. Then fucking leave.
Exactly.
Don't write, don't call, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Leave. If you've got that much of an issue with it, then just walk away, play something else. Let's see. And the gaming community as a whole, the gaming community is not a hive mind. Stop trying to make it one.
Yeah, your kitschy sewing circle is not a gaming community.
Yep. And urge you with all the strength that I can muster to do the same. White Wolf are dead to me.
Well, bye.
Okay. Well, that was a bit longer than I initially planned.
Oh my fucking word! I mean, I normally I'd be falling asleep, but this is the whole fucking article was so goddamn cringy. I was like, oh God, how far are we gonna go with this one? Oh my dear, I think I just dug a hole of China with this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my word.
I think you dug a hole to China and then dug a hole back.
Yeah, no shit.
But I think it's safe to. But let me ask you this: after seeing all this kind of shit, would you be willing to entertain the notion of buying a copy of the new Vampire the Masquerade?
I've never heard of the game, but you know what? I'm gonna give it I'll probably take a look at the goddamn PDF.
Well, the playtest documents are still available. So you can get a hint through that. There are 2 video game adaptations of Vampire that are worth noting. Redemption, which is all right, and Bloodlines, which is pretty good, but it is a product of its time when it comes to navigation, and you're gonna have to do some patches because the game is a bit on the buggy end. Mostly because. And it's not buggy because lack of QA a la Bethesda, but more of Troika Games just didn't have enough, wasn't given enough time.
They got the EA treatment.
Yeah, which unfortunately is why they're no longer around, which is a shame because they put out some really good stuff. Arcanum is probably one of my favorite CRPGs of all time.
Well, I'm gonna say this. This bears repeating. I'm gonna really need a shower.
Yep. So, with all that stuff kind of said, I think it'll be time for the wrap up. And here's the bad news: there will be no Second City on Wednesday because on Wednesday I am leaving on a flight for Tampa because I'm going to MetroCon this year. It should be an interesting experience. Subsequently, I will not be on the Stream of Corruption on Thursday, and there will be no Monastery Live next Sunday. Monastery Live number 7 will be taking place in 2 weeks when I get back, and I'll probably have some stories to tell about my time at MetroCon, because I leave on Wednesday and I don't come back until Monday night. But until then, on behalf of good brother Aaron Alexander, and on behalf of the recently deceased Doku HL, my name is Mildra. I have been your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody, and fuck the Watsy.